Chapter 82. Recovering from his shock, Lin Jierge tried his best to maintain his composure. As he walked into the ward, he casually came up with an excuse. The Demon King is experiencing menstrual cramps. Demon King? Grandpa Lin frowned. That Zhang Laosher? Isn't he a male professor? Lin Jierge was silent for 2 seconds before he feigned a calm "oh" and replied, I missed out 2 words. His wife. Is that so? Grandpa Lin took Lin Jierge's words to be true. Then he recalled that Professor Zhang, whom Lin Jierge referred to as the Demon King, was already in his 60s. Yet his wife was still experiencing menstrual cramps. Perhaps there was a huge age gap between the two of them, so he added, Professor Zhang's wife is quite young. Lin Jierge's lips twitched, but he didn't say a word. Grandpa Lin couldn't be bothered with him anymore. He turned to Shi Yao and said, Yao, why are you still standing? Sit down. Grandpa Lin's Yao made Lin Jierge feel as if he had been whipped and his back tensed up. Shi Yao obediently replied, Grandpa Lin, before walking over to the bed. Yao, why did you suddenly come over today? Grandpa Lin's tone was always amiable when he spoke to Shi Yao. But in Lin Jierge's ears, his tone was like a series of exploding mines. Before Shi Yao could speak, he had already interjected, Shi Yao, don't you have any lessons this afternoon? Shi Yao was just about to reply to Grandpa Lin's question, but Lin Jierge's sudden interruption left her stunned. He's actually taking the initiative to talk to me? This seems to be the first time something like this has happened in the past few years. Shi Yao was stunned for 2 seconds before she turned to look at Lin Jierge with a look of disbelief. She didn't say a word, only giving him a slight nod of her head. Thinking that he was going to ignore her, she turned around to reply to Grandpa Lin, but before she could do anything, his nonchalant voice sounded once more, Have you eaten? Shi Yao's pitch-black eyes darted around in thought for a moment before she slowly nodded to Lin Jierge and said, I ate it. What did you eat? Was this an awkward conversation? Shi Yao blinked her eyes a few times before replying, Yuxiang shredded pork, red braised pork, Sichuan poached fish, tea egg, a bowl of rice, a bowl of corn soup with ribs. He was just changing the topic. Did she have to reply in such detail? But Soft Bun actually has such a huge appetite. She could eat even more than him. With such a thin and weak body, she actually hid such an astonishing appetite. She really couldn't be underestimated. While Lin Jierge was in a daze, Shi Yao had already turned to Grandpa Lin and asked, Grandpa Lin, you? Barely after Shi Yao said those words, a piercing sound suddenly echoed in the air. It was the sound of the chair dragging on the floor, following which a chair was placed behind Shi Yao. Before Shi Yao could make sense of what was going on, the reticent Lin Jierge suddenly spoke up once more, Take a seat. Overwhelmed by the unexpected favor, Shi Yao glanced at the chair before turning to look at Lin Jierge, not daring to sit down. Think it's dirty? I'll wipe it for you then. As he spoke, Lin Jierge really reached for a napkin. Chapter 83. Do you want some water? There's no need, thank you. What about yogurt? Thank you, but what about milk? Thank you, what about fruits? Thank you, which one do you want to eat? I'll wash it for you. Shi Yao felt as if she was sitting on a carpet of needles. Other than shaking her head, she wasn't able to utter a single word. Grandpa Lin, who was seated by the side, subtly winked at Auntie Sun upon seeing this sight, seemingly amused. The heck, this is even more taxing on my IQ than doing 100 advanced mathematics questions. Lin Jierge racked his brains to say everything he could, but for a moment he stumbled. In this moment, Shi Yao, who was still thinking about the main reason why she was here, turned to Grandpa Lin and asked with a gentle voice, Grandpa Lin, are you feeling better? Do you still feel any discomfort? Ever since he was young, Lin Jierge had always been able to calmly say that it had nothing to do with him no matter how big of a mess he made. Yet upon hearing those words, a layer of cold sweat crept up his back. Why is Soft Bun just as persistent as Big White Chubby? I've been trying to change the topic for so long, but how did she still manage to come back? Grandpa Lin was overjoyed by Shi Yao's concern. With Yao Yao's concern, no matter how serious my illness is, it doesn't matter anymore. Shi Yao's lips curled into a smile as she spoke up once more. This time, before Lin Jierge could stop or interrupt her, her words had already flowed out from the gaps between her lips. Grandpa, I'm really sorry about last night. I should have come to see you. A hint of doubt surfaced on Grandpa Lin's relaxed expression. Last night? What happened last night? What's to come has finally come. Gritting his teeth, Lin Jieji turned to look out the window, not daring to look at what was about to happen in the ward. Shi Yao blinked her eyes. Thinking that Grandpa Lin was still in a daze, she spoke up once more. Didn't you suddenly feel unwell last night? You kept calling my name wanting to see me and even had the chauffeur fetch me. Last night none of them came to the hospital to disturb him, and he happily dragged Auntie Sun along to cook hot pot together. How did it suddenly turn into him being unwell, and he even called out Yao Yao's name? Old Master Lin was stunned and thought that he was dreaming. Since his lie had been exposed and he didn't want her to know that he was the mastermind, then, since being tactful didn't work, he could only use force. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jieji gritted his teeth as he turned his gaze toward his grandfather. He interjected before his grandfather could speak, looking as if he had just remembered something after Shi Yao's reminder. If Yao Yao hadn't brought it up, I would have forgotten about it. Grandfather, how are you feeling now? Are you feeling better than last night? Do you need me to ask my sister abroad to invite an expert to come back and take a good look? Yao Yao. Yao Yao. Shi Yao's lips parted slightly and roughly 5 seconds later she stared blankly at Lin Jieji. Did he just call her Yao Yao? Grandpa Lin was even more confused by Lin Jieji's words. Chapter 84. Grandpa Lin took a moment to calm himself down before sorting out his chaotic thoughts. Yao Yao, you said that I was seriously ill yesterday and I kept calling your name wanting to meet you? That's right. Shi Yao nodded. It was a message from Lin Jieji. Soft bun, would you die if you didn't add the second half of the sentence? Do you know that you're trying to murder your own husband? No, your fiancé. Lin Jieji felt as if he had brought along a lousy teammate with him. Lin Jieji. Grandpa Lin repeated Lin Jieji's name before turning his gaze to Lin Jieji. Meeting his grandfather's gaze, Lin Jieji's temples throbbed violently. Since he was already halfway there, he might as well go all the way. So he steeled his heart and stared straight into Grandpa Lin's eyes as he said, Grandfather, have you forgotten that I'm going to teach you a lesson? Didn't you tell me to call Yao Yao and ask her to come over last night? When did I? Before Grandpa Lin could finish his words, Lin Jieji had already blinked his eyes in astonishment. Grandfather, you really don't remember? Last night I came to the hospital to visit you, and while we were eating together, your blood pressure suddenly became unstable and you even came down with a high fever. You kept calling Yao Yao's name. Nonsense. This is utter nonsense. This brat hasn't come to the hospital for an entire week. So when did I have dinner together with him last night? And your blood pressure became unstable and you even came down with a high fever. Your entire family's blood pressure became unstable, and you're the one who came down with a high fever. Grandpa Lin nearly leaped up in anger. Lin Jieji stood calmly on the spot, and as innocent as he could be, he said once more, Grandfather, please think about it carefully. If you can't remember it, you're making me feel like I'm a human being. You're speaking as if you're a human being right now. You. Grandpa Lin pointed a finger at Lin Jieji as his face reddened. But before he could finish his sentence, Lin Jieji had already calmly and confidently added. You're making it sound like I'm lying to Yao. As if stuck in his throat, Grandpa Lin abruptly froze on the spot. He had no idea why Lin Jieji would use him as a scapegoat. But if he exposed him, he will let Yao Yao know that he is lying. Now both of their marriage is on the verge of collapse. If this stinky brat's dark history is smeared, wouldn't it? Grandpa Lin took a deep breath and then another deep breath. Then with a smile on his face he said, You. If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten about it. As he spoke, Grandpa Lin turned to Shi Yao and said, Yao Yao, I'm getting on in years and my memory isn't as good as it seems. Yesterday I had a really bad fever, so I'm still in a daze today. Sai, here's what happened yesterday. Auntie Sun made a cake and I thought that you would surely like it, so I asked them to send it over to you. I don't even have the strength to finish a sentence. Since you're so heartless, then don't blame me for putting you in your place. Anyway, there's no cake. You'll have to figure out a way to get it yourself. With this thought in mind, Grandpa Lin turned to Lin Jieji and said, The cake is in the fridge at home. Aren't you from the same school as Yao Yao? Why don't you go home later to get it and send it back to Yao Yao? Lin Jieji's eyelids fluttered and he replied with an "oh" in agreement. Chapter 85. After hearing Grandpa Lin's explanation, Shi Yao took it for granted. She obediently reminded Grandpa Lin to take care of himself, But before she could finish her words, someone knocked on the door of the ward. Standing at the side, Auntie Sun, who had chosen to protect herself from the very beginning and had not spoken a single word since the beginning, walked toward the door of the ward as she asked in a slightly perplexed tone, "The doctor just checked the ward. Who could have come at this hour?" Opening the door, Auntie Sun saw who it was and she exclaimed in astonishment, "Miss Liang, why are you here?" "Miss Liang? Isn't that Liang Mumu?" Shi Yao turned around and looked at the door. Dressed in a light yellow dress, Liang Mumu stood at the entrance of the ward with a bright smile on her face. She greeted Auntie Sun politely, "Auntie Sun, nice to meet you. I'm here to visit Grandpa Lin." Auntie Sun stepped aside and said, "Miss Liang, please come in." Upon seeing Liang Mumu, Shi Yao hurriedly stood up and said, "Mumu." While Shi Yao wasn't paying attention, Grandpa Lin immediately made use of this opportunity to shoot a warning glare at Lin Jiege. Hearing Shi Yao's voice, Liang Mumu turned to look at her, and the smile on her face grew even more radiant. "What a coincidence. Yao Yao, you're here to visit Grandpa Lin too." Before Shi Yao could say anything, Liang Mumu's gaze fell on Lin Jiege and she said graciously, "Brother Jia, you're here too." Ignoring his grandfather's menacing glare, Lin Jiege nodded at Liang Mumu silently. Liang Mumu was used to Lin Jiege's cold attitude, so she didn't take it to heart. In the next second she turned to look at Grandpa Lin with a bright smile and said, "Grandpa Lin, I heard from Yao Yao that you're ill. I've been wanting to visit you for a long time, but I've been busy lately so I haven't been able to find the time. I didn't think that I would bump into Brother Jia and Yao Yao here today." As she spoke, Liang Mumu lifted the bags in her hands and said, "These are some nutritional supplements that I specially bought for you at the supermarket." As soon as Liang Mumu spoke, Grandpa Lin had already retracted his gaze from Lin Jiege. He waited for Liang Mumu to finish her words before replying with a smile, "Mumu, you're getting more and more sensible." "Grandpa Lin, what are you saying? You doted on me a lot when I was young. Now that you're sick, isn't it only right for me to come and visit you?" Liang Mumu passed the nutritional supplements to Auntie Sun one by one, not forgetting to tell her how and when to consume them. Due to Liang Mumu's arrival, the ward became much livelier. Ever since she was young, she had always been a smooth talker. Her mouth was also very sweet, so much so that old Master Lin was unable to close his mouth. On the other hand, Shi Yao found herself at a loss for words. Chapter 86. Not too far away, Liang Mumu seemed to be saying something to her grandfather. Her voice rose and fell rhythmically, but Lin Jiege found it a little too noisy. After standing in the room for a while, he finally couldn't take it anymore, so he straightened his body, intending to head out for some fresh air. However, before he could do so, he caught sight of Shi Yao sitting on a chair not too far away from him. The young lady was holding an apple that was roughly the size of her face, and she was munching on it intently. It was as if there was nothing else in her eyes other than the apple in her hands. Every time she took a bite of the apple, her eyes would curve into a smile. It was as if she had the entire world in her hands, and there were traces of bliss all around her. He had seen people eating with gusto before, but this was the first time he was seeing someone eating so happily. She sure was a girl who was easily satisfied with what she had. Lin Jiege couldn't help but take a few more glances at her. Towards the end, when the young lady's eyes curved into a smile as she took a bite of the apple, the corners of his lips curled up as well. After staring for some time, the sunlight from the window shone into the room through the window and onto Shi Yao's body, making her fair and tender skin appear even more exquisite. The sight before him was a little beautiful, so beautiful that Lin Jiege felt an urge to preserve it forever. As this thought flashed across his mind, he subconsciously took out his low-battery phone from his pocket, tapped on the camera and silently aimed it at Shi Yao. At this moment, Shi Yao happened to take a big bite of the apple, causing her cheeks to puff up. In an instant, her delicate oval face became round and adorable. Lin Jiege quickly tapped on the camera to capture this scene. "Brother Jia? Are you returning to school or going home?" Before Lin Jiege could take a closer look at the photo he had taken, Liang Mumu's gentle voice sounded from the side. Lin Jiege shot a glance at Liang Mumu before replying impassively, "Let's talk about it later." At the same time, he locked his phone back into his pocket. "I was thinking that if you were to go home we could," Liang Mumu spoke up once more, but Lin Jiege didn't say anything else. On the other hand, Shi Yao's phone suddenly rang with a ding-dong. While chewing on the apple, she freed one hand to take out her phone from her bag. Yao, how about you? Are you in a hurry to return to school? If you're not in a hurry, you can go to my house for dinner first. It just so happens that my cousin sent us Hokkaido crabs this morning. I can ask my aunt to cook for us tonight. As Liang Mumu spoke, she walked up to Shi Yao and feigned exhaustion from standing for too long. Then she hugged Shi Yao from the back and placed her weight on Shi Yao's body. It's fine. I already made plans with my roommates to have dinner together tonight, Shi Yao replied to Liang Mumu as she tapped on her message. It was a message from Han Jing. Shi Yao, my mom just sent me some specialties from my hometown. Are you in the dormitory? I'll send them over to you. Chapter 87. Shi Yao replied as she stowed her phone away. Your classmate? When did Liang Mumu become so curious about what she was doing in school? Shi Yao's chewing on her apple paused for a moment, and she fell silent for 2 seconds before replying, No, it's a senior of mine. Han Jing. Senior? Is it that senior Han who confessed to me? Inconspicuously, Lin Jierge frowned. Why Yao, I'm so envious of you. Your senior actually treats you so well. He even sent you the souvenirs his mother sent you as soon as possible. Why don't I have such a good classmate? Liang Mumu's tone was filled with envy, just like her own words. On the bed, Grandpa Lin, who wasn't paying much attention to Shi Yao's message, suddenly turned to look at Shi Yao warily upon hearing those words. Shi Yao didn't respond to Liang Mumu's words. Instead, her lips curled up slightly before she continued eating her apple. On the other hand, Liang Mumu seemed to have yet to finish her conversation with Shi Yao. As if recalling something, she spoke up once more. Yao, I seem to remember something. Senior Han is from the same hometown as one of your roommates, right? I do have quite an impression of him. He seems to be quite good-looking, has a good personality, and is quite a gentle person. If I remember correctly, on your birthday last year, he was the one who secretly paid the bill, right? A deep frown appeared on Grandpa Lin's forehead. To send gifts to Yao Yao as soon as possible and even secretly pay for her birthday. What kind of relationship does that male senior have with Yao Yao? So they're already so close. He even attended her birthday banquet. Speaking of which, when is her birthday? Lin Jierge suddenly felt vexed. Other than the fact that her name is Shi Yao and that she has a big appetite. I don't know anything about her at all. Yao, speaking of which, you and I can be considered to be acquainted. I remember that we even went to a bar together once. Lin Jierge felt a ball of fire burning in his chest and his frown deepened. Liang Jisi's cousin sure is sick in the head. Why does she keep bringing up this topic? But before the word long could form in Lin Jierge's mind, he suddenly froze. Roughly 2 seconds later, he raised his head to look at Liang Mumu, who seemed to be chatting innocently with Shi Yao in her arms, before turning his gaze to his grandfather. Upon seeing the slight displeasure on his grandfather's face, Lin Jierge came to a realization. The difference between two girls was really huge. Isn't it good to live a simple life? Why did he have to make himself so hateful, dirty and vile? But soft bun, should I call her a fool or should I call her innocent? Could she not see through such an obvious trick? Grandpa was really something. The fiancé he found for him was actually a little idiot. But so be it. He was smart anyway. If he complemented each other a little, it wouldn't affect the intelligence of the future generations. With this thought in mind, Lin Jierge replied calmly, Oh, you're talking about Han Jing. Liang Mumu didn't expect Lin Jierge to interject all of a sudden. She raised her head to look at Lin Jierge and replied with a smile, That's right, Han Jing. Yao Yao calls him Senior Han. Chapter 88. After saying those words, Lin Jierge discreetly shot a glance at his grandfather. Just as he had expected, his grandfather's expression swiftly reverted back to his usual benevolent smile. So, you're a friend of Jierge and Yao Yao. To think that you even thought of bringing food to Yao Yao as soon as possible. You sure know our Yao Yao well. It seems like you're a good friend of mine. If you have the time, you should bring him over to play. Since we're all in Beijing, it's only right for us to take care of our foreign classmates. Lin Jierge nodded in agreement to his grandfather's words. Of course, he didn't forget to glance at Liang Mumu's face. The smile on the girl's face became a little fake. Well, how could it not be fake? He had painstakingly put on a show for half a day, but he had ruined it with just one sentence. But then again, she deserved it. Soft Bun might seem like a defenseless person, making her an easy target to bully, but that was only on the surface. If she really wanted to bully her, that would depend on whether Lin Jiej would allow it or not. What a pain in the ass. A perfectly fine ward had been turned into a foul atmosphere. It was even scarier than the worst smog in Beijing. Society, it seemed that he had to drag the little nerd away to wash his lungs. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Jiej straightened his back and said, "Grandfather, it's getting late. I still have a dinner date with my classmates, so I'll be taking my leave first." Let's go. Old Master Lin waved his hand, looking as if he couldn't wait for him to get lost. The corners of Lin Jiej's lips twitched, but he didn't say a word as he walked toward the door. As he walked past Shi Yao, he reached out and grabbed her arm, pulling her out of Liang Mumu's embrace. "It's on the way, so I'll give you a lift back to school." Lin Jiej didn't let go of Shi Yao's arm, so she followed behind him and staggered toward the door. She could only turn around to bid farewell to Grandpa Lin. When her gaze fell upon Liang Mumu's face, she hesitated for a moment before waving her hand and saying, "Mumu, goodbye. Goodbye, I'll see you again if I say you're a little idiot. You're really an idiot." Before Liang Mumu could respond to Shi Yao's words, Shi Yao had already been dragged out of the ward by Lin Jiej. The closed door blocked Liang Mumu's line of sight, making it impossible for her to see Shi Yao anymore. The driver was already waiting at the entrance of the hospital building. After stuffing Shi Yao into the car, Lin Jiej finally let go of her arm. After the driver fastened his seatbelt, he asked, "Young master, are you going to school?" Without saying a word, Lin Jiej harumphed coldly. Not long after the car drove off, Shi Yao's phone suddenly rang once more. Was it that Han Jing who had replied to her? Lin Jiej immediately straightened his back warily as he discreetly shot a glance at Shi Yao. He saw the girl take out her phone, unlock the screen and open the message. It really was Han Jing who had replied to her message. Even though there were a few lines of words, with his amazing eyesight he could still see them clearly. "When are you coming back? This time specialty can't be left overnight, it'll go bad. My mom sent it over and put a lot of ice bags in it to barely keep it from going bad. So we still have to eat it tonight." Shi Yao moved her fingers and said, "I should be able to reach the academy in around half an hour. Senior Han. Okay then, tell me when you arrive, I'll send it over to you." Lin Jiej didn't bother looking at Shi Yao's subsequent messages. Instead he turned his gaze to the window. He stared at the rapidly retreating street for a moment before a glint flashed across his eyes, and he said, "Let's make a trip home first." But in Shi Yao's eyes, his perfunctory attitude seemed to be saying, "Who would believe you?" Shi Yao spoke up once more and the aura around her grew much more solemn. "I still remember the words you said back then. That's why all these years I've never mentioned your name and I've never spouted nonsense. None of my friends in school know that you and I." Initially Shi Yao wanted to use the word relationship with him, but after some thought she realized that there was no relationship between the two of them at all. Thus she changed her words and said, "We've talked." Chapter 90. Shi Yao wasn't sure if it was just her imagination, but as her explanation grew clearer and clearer, she felt the air in the car growing thinner and thinner. She didn't say anything wrong, so why did the atmosphere suddenly become like this? Shi Yao fell silent for 2 seconds before discreetly sneaking a glance at Lin Jiej, who was seated beside her. At this moment, a thin layer of ice seemed to have formed on the usually aloof man's face. His eyebrows, eyes, and even his slightly pursed lips were emanating an indescribable chill. How strange. He was the one who said those words, so why did he suddenly become so unhappy? Could it be that I've said too many things to him? Shi Yao's eyes darted around in thought, and she felt that this was the most likely possibility. According to his rules, he didn't know her, so he was unwilling to interact with her too much. Why was she so foolish earlier? Shi Yao tactfully shut her mouth and told herself not to talk to Lin Jiej anymore. The car returned to its usual silence. The car slowly drove in the direction of the Lin family, but the cold expression on Lin Jiej's face didn't show any signs of melting. In truth, he was a little confused when she said, "I remember everything you said back then." He didn't really understand what she was referring to, but it was only after she said something else that he vaguely recalled that there was indeed such a thing. How should he describe the situation back then? He felt a little indignant and angry, but he had nowhere to vent his anger, so he ended up directing all of his emotions at her. He blamed her a little. If it wasn't for her, he wouldn't have gotten a fiancé out of nowhere. No one liked the feeling of being coerced, and under his grandfather's coercion his disgust for her grew exponentially. Under such circumstances, it went without saying that the words he said were as harsh as they could be. In truth, she wasn't in the wrong either. What she said was the truth, but he had no idea what was bothering him at this moment. Was it because she still remembered what he said back then, or was it because he acted on impulse, or was it because she used the words said to define their relationship? The more Lin Jierge thought about it, the more agitated he felt. And the more agitated he felt, the more stifling the atmosphere in the car became. In the end, even he couldn't take it anymore. Reaching out, he rolled down the car window, allowing the spring breeze to flow into the car. Just as the car was about to reach the Lin family residence, Shi Yao's phone suddenly rang. She picked up the call, but due to Lin Jierge's presence, her voice sounded a little weak. Hello? Han? No, I haven't reached school yet. Something cropped up, so I might be a little late. Hearing Shi Yao's words, Lin Jierge's eyebrows twitched slightly. He took out his phone, which only had 5% battery left, and began typing out a message. 5 minutes before the car arrived at the gate of the Lin family, the few servants left in the Lin family had all left. After the car came to a stop, Lin Jierge turned to the driver and said coldly, "Don't you have something to do later? You go ahead, I'll call a taxi later." Chapter 91. Without saying a word, Lin Jierge pushed open the car door and got out. Shi Yao followed suit, but she didn't forget to thank the driver politely. "Thank you." The driver replied guiltily with a "you're welcome" before stepping on the accelerator and speeding away. Was he imagining things? Why did it feel like the Lin family's chauffeur was getting more and more difficult over the past decade? Facing the door, Lin Jierge keyed in 666666, and after the door opened he walked into the courtyard. However, after taking 2 steps he noticed that Shi Yao wasn't following him, so he turned around to look at her. Meeting Lin Jierge's gaze, Shi Yao thought for a moment, and it seemed like it was time for her to speak. So she said, "I'll wait for you here." Lin Jierge's gaze seemed to have turned even colder, but his tone was still relatively calm. "I want to take a bath first. It might take a while, so I'll come in and wait." Shi Yao walked into the courtyard, and after a moment of thought she said, "Why don't I take the cake first? You can leave after you're done bathing. It doesn't seem appropriate for us to be in the same car. If someone sees us at the school gates." Before Shi Yao could finish her words, Lin Jierge had already interjected, "I didn't bring my wallet." Following which his footsteps quickened significantly, creating a huge distance between them. Shi Yao wanted to say that she could give him money, but just as the words were about to come out of her mouth, she suddenly remembered that she had accidentally spent too much on snacks while browsing Taobao 2 days ago. She was only left with 100 RMB now. There was no way she could give him money. Left with no choice, Shi Yao followed Lin Jierge into the house silently. It was fortunate that she had been to the Lin family's old residence before, and there were slippers for her in the shoe cabinet. Thus, she changed into her slippers and headed to the living room. Lin Jierge, who had entered the house a little earlier than her, happened to be walking out of the dining room with a cup of hot chocolate in his hands. He walked up to her and passed the hot chocolate over. "Have something to drink first." "I'm going to take a bath," Shi Yao replied with an "oh" as she reached out to take it. Perhaps it was due to his carelessness, or perhaps it was due to the way she received it. The hot chocolate spilled all over Shi Yao. It was fortunate that the temperature wasn't too high, so she wasn't scalded. However, her clothes. Shi Yao lowered her head to look at the large stain on her chest, and a troubled look appeared on her face. How was she going to return to school like this? After which, as if knowing what she was troubled about, he pointed to the upper floor and said, "You should take a bath first. I'll head to my sister's room to look for a suitable set of clothes for you." "I guess that's all I can do," Shi Yao replied with an oak before following Lin Jierge up the stairs. Chapter 92. Just as Shi Yao was examining Lin Jierge's bedroom, the young man walked out of the changing room with a white t-shirt in his hand. Shi Yao quickly retracted her gaze and looked at Lin Jierge. Lin Jierge tossed the t-shirt to her and said, "Put on my clothes and go take a shower." I'll go to my sister's bedroom to help you look through your clothes. Hugging Lin Jie's t-shirt tightly, Shi Yao nodded. After Lin Jie left the bedroom, Shi Yao entered the washroom. A second later, the sound of running water could be heard from the washroom, and a second later, Lin Jie, who had casually grabbed a dress from Lin Jie's wardrobe, dashed into the bedroom. Just as he tossed the dress onto the bed, Shi Yao's phone, which was placed on the bedside table, rang. Lin Jie glanced at the caller ID. It was Han Jing. Is he calling to ask me when I'm going back to school again? He sure is patient. Lin Jie switched Shi Yao's phone to silent so as not to disturb her in the washroom. At the same time, he stood up and began pacing around the bedroom. When he made the second turn, his gaze fell on the door of his bedroom. Didn't you say that the specialty would spoil after a night? Then all I have to do is trap her here for a night. With such a thought in mind, Lin Jie walked over to his bedroom, picked up the key and turned it around and around the lock. After a long while, he finally pulled the key out and twisted the doorknob. After confirming that the door was locked from the inside and that it could only be opened from the outside, he walked over to the balcony, pulled open the window and mercilessly tossed the key into the blossoming flowers below. After taking a shower, Shi Yao looked around the bathroom for a hairdryer, but it was to no avail. In the end, she could only open the door and walk out. Lin Jie was sitting on the sofa with a nonchalant expression, playing with his charging phone. He was much taller than her, so his t-shirt only reached up to her thighs. Even so, Shi Yao still felt a little unnatural with most of her legs exposed. She subconsciously squeezed her thighs together before speaking weakly to Lin Jie. That hairdryer. Hearing her voice, Lin Jie raised his head to look at her. Her half-wet long hair draped over her shoulders. Perhaps it was because of the hot water her face was flushed. Although she wasn't tall, her body was well proportioned. Her legs were long and straight, especially the part that was exposed, which was dazzlingly white. Lin Jie stared at her for a long while before he finally snapped out of his daze. He walked over to the table, took out a hairdryer from the drawer and tossed it onto the table. With a thank you, Shi Yao walked over and grabbed the hairdryer. She plugged in the power on the table and was about to blow her hair when she stared at a magazine on the table with wide eyes. That magazine was written in Japanese. Chapter 93. It took Lin Jie a long while before he managed to say, "That's Liang Juxi's, not mine." He had never explained himself to anyone so guiltily before. The problem was, everything he said was the truth. Why did he feel so guilty? Lin Jie forced himself to calm down as he continued. He came to my house a few days ago, but he forgot to take it with him. With a reddened face, Shi Yao replied with an oak before falling silent. She didn't know how she should continue the conversation either. In Lin Jie's eyes, her reaction seemed to be filled with disbelief. Lin Jie felt even more guilty. While he was cursing all 18 generations of Liang Juxi's ancestors in his heart, he turned to Shi Yao and said, "I don't like that girl in the manga." In that instant, Lin Jie felt like biting off his own tongue. Was he trying to explain? He was obviously making things worse the more he tried to explain. What did he mean by he didn't like the girl in the manga? Wasn't he indirectly telling her that he had read the manga? But he clearly hadn't seen it before. Over the past 2 days he had dug a pit for Han Jing, a pit for Shi Yao, a pit for his grandfather, a pit for his grandfather, a pit for his chauffeur, a pit for his chauffeur, a pit for his servants, and so on and so forth. Had he dug a pit for himself too? The gears in Lin Jie's head swiftly spun as he hurriedly replied, No, that's not what I meant. What I meant was that I don't like girls." Pooh. He didn't like girls. Could it be that he liked boys? How could he be so self-deprecating? Without any hesitation, Lin Jie pointed to the bare-chested lady on the cover of the magazine and said, I don't mean that I don't like girls. I mean I don't like." Before Lin Jie could say the words "a girl from a manga," he suddenly froze. He was trying to clarify, so why did he go back to the original topic? Was his IQ fed to a dog? The problem was, not only was his IQ fed to the dogs, even his brain had a problem. He actually didn't know how to explain next. Just as Lin Jie was feeling anxious, Shi Yao suddenly spoke up. "That? I understand." Understand? Did she understand his nonsensical explanations? Lin Jie's mind calmed down a little. He was just about to reply with "It's fine as long as you understand," but before the words could even reach his mouth, Shi Yao's face had already reddened, and she spoke up once more with a soft voice. Why you guys, don't you like to watch these kinds of things? In the end she didn't understand what he meant at all. In a moment of desperation Lin Jiage blurted out, I'm not a man. Damn it, the more I talk the messier it is. Liang Jisi, F*CKU #%yen #% and %. Looking at Shi Yao who was trying her best to stifle her laughter, Lin Jiage cursed Liang Jisi furiously in his heart as he explained anxiously, I'm saying that I'm different from those normal men. F*C, is he calling me abnormal? There was no F*King explanation for this. Feeling a little annoyed, Lin Jiage walked up to Shi Yao, picked up the magazine and mercilessly tore it into shreds before tossing it into the trash can. Chapter 94. Forget it. It's best if I don't say anything. Lin Jiage hastened his footsteps, intending to leave the bedroom as soon as possible to calm himself down. However, Lin Jiage walked up to the door of the bedroom, stretched out his hand and twisted the doorknob for a long time, but the door simply wouldn't open. What the heck is going on? Why won't the door open? Lin Jiage exerted more strength, and just as he was about to knock on the door, Shi Yao, who had just finished drying her hair, suddenly asked, What's wrong? The door is broken. I can't open it. Lin Jiage said as he twisted the door lock, causing it to creak endlessly. How could the door be broken? Shi Yao tossed the hairdryer aside and ran up to Lin Jiage to take a closer look at the door lock. However, after examining it for less than 5 seconds, she suddenly looked at Lin Jiage with a peculiar gaze and asked, Isn't it locked from the inside? You should have just used the key to open it. How could he not know such a simple question? Hearing Shi Yao's words, Lin Jiage suddenly recalled that he was the one who locked the door from the inside. The reason was, it was fortunate that she had reminded him, or else he would still be immersed in the erotic manga incident. Is that so? Lin Jiage replied calmly. After which he let go of the doorknob and reached into his pocket to search for the key. He rummaged through his pocket but he couldn't find the key anywhere. He muttered under his breath, That's weird. Where's the key? Could it be that I slipped on the sofa when I was sitting on it earlier? As Lin Jiage muttered to himself, he turned around and walked over to the sofa. Oh, why isn't it here? I remember going upstairs with the key. Since he was putting on an act, he had to play it to the fullest. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiage feigned a hazy memory and turned to look at Shi Yao. I went upstairs with the key, right? Shi Yao, who wasn't paying any attention to this at all, shook her head and replied honestly, I didn't see anything. Where did I go after entering the bedroom? Lin Jiage pretended to be deep in thought. Thinking that everything was real, Shi Yao replied obediently, You went to the changing room and you went to the table to get the hairdryer. Following Shi Yao's instructions, Lin Jiage went to all of the locations that she had pointed out. However, when he still couldn't find the key, he turned to Shi Yao and said earnestly, Can you help me look around too? What if I've missed something? All right. Shi Yao obediently followed Lin Jiage's instructions and began searching for the key. 10 minutes later, the key was still nowhere to be found. Perhaps I left my keys on the bar counter when I was pouring your hot chocolate earlier. As Lin Jiage spoke, he took out his phone and said, I'll call them to open the door for us. What? You went back to the countryside? You can't come back now. Gosh, you went to the suburbs to look at flowers with your friends. You want to resign? Your husband cheated on you? Are you going to catch an adulterer? Lin Jiage, who seemed to be constantly on the phone but in truth he hadn't made any calls at all. After hanging up the last call, he glanced at Shi Yao and muttered, People these days are getting more and more unprofessional. It looks like I'll have to call Auntie Sun and see if she can make some time to come back. Chapter 95. You can't come over? Grandpa is on a drip? Just lost? Right then. Lin Jiage paused for a moment before covering his phone with his hand and turning to Shi Yao, he said, Auntie Sun will only be able to come over after Grandpa's transfusion. Is that all right? After saying those words, Lin Jiage muttered to himself, But I wonder if something will happen to Grandpa tonight without Auntie Sun around? Shi Yao was just about to nod in agreement when she heard Lin Jiage's first sentence. But upon hearing his second sentence, her words froze on the tip of her tongue. Grandpa Lin was currently in a critical condition. If Auntie Sun were to return to open the door for them, what if something were to happen to Grandpa Lin during this period of time? She didn't have class the next morning. Although she was going to have hot pot with her roommates tonight, she could ask them to change the time. However, if that was the case, they would have to stay in this room for the entire night. Shi Yao hesitated for a moment before speaking up. Why don't you ask Auntie Sun not to come over? Grandpa Lin can't do without her. Having achieved his goal, Lin Jie's expression was incomparably calm. He seemed to be conflicted over something as well, and after half a minute he finally reluctantly said, "All right then." After which Lin Jie placed the phone by his ear and said, "Forget it, there's no need for that. Take good care of Grandpa." After hanging up the phone, the whole bedroom fell into silence. Sitting on the sofa to the north of the bed, Lin Jie elegantly grabbed his phone and began sending frenzied messages to Liang Jisi. "Screw you, Liang Jisi, you piece of trash, you bastard, you shameless pervert." Liang Jisi quickly replied with a message. "My grandpa is no longer around. Why don't you consider me?" Scram. "I'm telling you, I'm not done with you." Liang Jisi, "Did I offend you? I kept sneezing just now. Tell me, did you scold me? I'm King impotent from your text bombardment." "You actually have a small penis? I thought you didn't. I can only rely on erotic comics to fantasize." Meanwhile, Shi Yao took out her phone and sat on the carpet to the south of the bed. She began apologizing to her roommates in the WeChat group. "Babies, I'm sorry. I have something on today, so I won't be able to return to school. Can we reschedule for tonight?" Lotus Leaf He Tian. "Yao, I hate you." Lemon Fling 1. "What? I love Li Yifeng Jiang Yu, infinity. Gee, please look into my eyes if you stand me up." Separated by a bed, Shi Yao and Lin Jie didn't say a word to one another. In this peaceful atmosphere, after a long time, Shi Yao's phone finally rang. It was a call from Han Jing. Shi Yao was in the midst of playing with her phone when she picked up the call. "Senior Han?" Lin Jie, who was in the midst of criticizing Liang Jisi, abruptly halted his typing. "I'm sorry, Senior Han. I was taking a shower just now and didn't look at my phone. I can't go back to school today. You and your classmates should hurry up and eat the specialty. Don't spoil it. Don't say any more. The more you talk, the more I want to eat it. Was there so much to talk about?" Chapter 96. Shi Yao's hand suddenly trembled and she nearly dropped her phone to the ground. Han Jing, who was talking on the other end of the line, suddenly went silent. Taking in all of this, Lin Jie continued to sing calmly. This time his emotions grew more intense and his voice grew louder as well. "Giving up everything I have, it doesn't matter." Han Jing snapped out of his daze. Shi Yao also snapped out of her daze. She knew what Han Jing was going to ask, so before he could finish his words she replied softly, "It's a friend of mine." Han Jing waited for a long time, but seeing that Shi Yao had no intention of explaining herself, he moved his lips. Then, "I'll be hanging up now. Right, goodbye." Seeing that Shi Yao had hung up the phone, Lin Jie's lips curled up, but he didn't stop singing. "Time flies, I can't tell you all about my youth, but my story is still about you." The night was still long and time passed slowly. Despite being in the same room, neither of them felt sleepy at all. At 8 p.m., Expert of the Monkeys sent a message to "Yao loves ice cream," and 111,111 in the Sexy and Frisky WeChat group. "Do you want to play? Do you want to play? Do you want to play?" Ding dong. Shi Yao's phone rang. Ding dong. Lin Jie's phone rang as well. Shi Yao glanced at Lin Jie's phone before tapping into her WeChat. After reading Expert of the Monkeys' message, "Yao loves ice cream," hesitated for a moment before replying, "I can play, but I can't turn on voice chat because it's not convenient for me." Ding dong. Lin Jie's phone rang. Expert of the Monkeys. "Sure, no problem. Let's talk through text." Ding dong. Shi Yao's phone rang. Ding dong. Lin Jie's phone rang. Who's he chatting with? Why is he sending me messages so frequently? Shi Yao turned to look at Lin Jie before starting to search for her earphones in her bag. She searched for a long time but to no avail. Left with no choice, she switched her phone to silent mode and logged into the game. In any case, it wasn't like she could hit anyone. She could hear footsteps, cars and landmines, but who knew where he was? Bus shared a room in the group. 111,111. Boss, are you coming? Ding dong. Lin Jierge's phone chimed with +3. 111111 popped up. Yes, but me too. It's not convenient for me to communicate through voice. Expert of the monkeys. Hee hee boss, are you cracking a cold joke? Ding dong. Lin Jierge's phone chimed with A+4. Juice. When did you communicate with us? Ding dong. Lin Jierge's phone chimed in. 111,111. Shi Yao couldn't help but glance at Lin Jierge once more. He probably also felt that his ringtone was too abrupt in the quiet bedroom, so he plugged the earphones back into his phone and stuffed them into his ears. Silence returned to the bedroom, and Shi Yao retracted her gaze to look at her phone. The game begins. The first round, pretty normal. Daily chicken dinner. The second round, due to her uncomfortable sitting posture, Shi Yao had to change her seat. Lin Jierge was a little far away from her, but since she had changed her seat, he was able to catch a glimpse of her entire body from the corner of his eye. Her phone was facing away from him, so he couldn't see her screen clearly. However, her fair and slender legs kept darting into his field of vision. Note: the song Lin Jierge sang was A Short Love Lasts, and it became very popular on TikTok. Hello TikTok. Chapter 97. Even though Lin Jierge was distracted by Shi Yao's thighs, he still retained a certain level of rationality. As soon as the game started, he was able to control his in-game character to parachute, land and pick up equipment normally. In fact, when he bumped into an enemy in a room, he was able to react swiftly and use his UMP-9 submachine gun to kill the enemy before they could react. As the second round dragged on, the number of times Lin Jierge's eyes drifted toward Shi Yao's thighs increased. Just when he couldn't even count whether it was the 10th or 11th time he was looking at Shi Yao's thighs, someone sniped him from afar and killed him. The third round, Lin Jierge could hear Xia Shangzhou and Lu Benlei's chatter through his earphones. However, he wasn't paying attention to what they were saying. It wasn't until he heard them calling out "Boss, boss," that he finally snapped out of his daze and slowly retracted his gaze from Shi Yao's thighs. It was then that he realized that his in-game character hadn't moved at all ever since he parachuted into the ground. He casually walked into a room, but after walking around for a while he didn't find anything at all. It was only when Xia Shangzhou said, "Boss, I've already looted that room." Only then did he realize that the room was really empty. There wasn't even a smoke grenade in it. Xia Shangzhou sure is a bunch of bandits. Wherever he goes, not even a blade of grass grows. Lin Jierge lamented as he leaped out of the window to head to the next room. However, for some reason his gaze fell on Shi Yao's body once more. His t-shirt was a little too big for her body. Nevertheless, he could still vaguely tell that her figure was exquisite and well-proportioned. His gaze lingered on her slender wrist for a moment before slowly moving down to her exposed thighs. Under the light, her skin was so tender that not even the slightest pore could be seen. As Lin Jierge stared at her, he suddenly felt his throat tightening. For some reason, the air in the room grew thinner and thinner. Even his breathing became more and more strenuous. Lu Benlei, "Boss, if you don't run away from the blue circle soon, you'll be poisoned to death." Xia Shangzhou, "Boss, I've already tossed you some medicine. Let's not bother with you anymore. Let's take Sis Yao away first. There's a car in the garage about 50 meters ahead." Sometime later, Lin Jierge suddenly heard some sounds in his ears. Without saying a word, he slowly shifted his gaze from Shi Yao's legs to the phone screen. It had been 10 minutes since the game started and he hadn't picked up any equipment. His HP bar had been poisoned to half. Xia Shangzhou, "Boss, what are you doing instead of picking up the loot?" Ignoring Xia Shangzhou's curious question, Lin Jierge stared blankly at the screen for a moment before he bent down to pick up the medicine they had tossed to replenish his health. After which he continued walking forward in a daze. After taking a few steps, he suddenly stopped moving. His gaze uncontrollably fell onto Shi Yao's thigh once more. "Boss, you only have a sliver of health left. You're going to die soon," Lu Benlei's voice sounded in the earpiece. Lin Jierge had lost count of how many times he had been jolted awake. He was just about to heal himself when an AI suddenly appeared behind him and fired a shot at him. Following which he collapsed to the ground. Chapter 98. Xia Shangzhou. You didn't see wrongly, you didn't see wrongly. Our boss was really killed by a robot. What a humiliation. Lu Benlai. How infuriating. He was actually killed by a robot. Amidst Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou's merciless ridicule, Lin Jiege silently put down his phone. Without their main damage dealer Lin Jiege, they barely made it to the final circle. All along, Shi Yao had thought that 111111 was caught up in something and couldn't focus on the game, resulting in such a situation. But in the fourth round, 111111's performance was even more bizarre. When he jumped out of the plane, he jumped in a completely different direction from everyone else. And that wasn't all, he even opened his parachute in midair and floated in the air for a very long time before he finally landed on the ground. No one knew what he did after he landed, but after a while a car logo appeared behind his profile picture. Shi Yao thought that he was going to drive over to look for them, but after waiting for a while she realized that he was getting further and further away from them. Curious, Shi Yao tapped on the minimap to check on 111111's location, and she couldn't help but sweat in embarrassment. 111111 had actually driven his car into the sea. In the fifth round, 111111 didn't jump out of the plane by himself. Instead, he chose to follow her. As soon as he landed, he coincidentally entered the same room as Shi Yao. The self-aware Shi Yao didn't pick up any good equipment and left them to less than 111111. However, as if a wooden statue, 111111 stood by the window of the room, not moving for a long time. When he finally reacted, he bent down to pick up a harmless smoke grenade. Unable to speak, Shi Yao was rendered speechless for a moment. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore and sent a over. 111111 didn't respond to her. Instead, he froze on the spot once more. Shi Yao then typed another line. Why aren't you picking up anything? Before Shi Yao could send those words, less than 111111 had already been killed by a hail of bullets from the opposite house. The sixth round, the seventh round, the eighth round, the ninth round. It was as if Mr. Numbers was possessed by her. He was either hammered to death, rammed to death, smashed to death by a frying pan, or drowned in the sea. In any case, he was reduced to a crate. Boss's condition isn't right? It's not just wrong, it's very wrong. I've never seen such a noob boss. This isn't my boss. In my heart, my boss is unparalleled, an existence that can compete with the sun and the moon. Boss, did someone hack your account? Bro, it's shameless to steal an account, please go offline quickly. Paying no heed to Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou's outburst, Lin Jiege took off his earphones, tossed his phone aside and chose to hang out in the game. In order to prevent himself from looking at Shi Yao again, he leaned against the sofa and closed his eyes to rest. But barely half a minute had passed before the image of Shi Yao's fair and long legs surfaced in his mind. The dry mouth, panic, fever, and other symptoms that appeared when he was playing the game appeared again. Closing his eyes, Lin Jiege breathed in and out repeatedly, only to find that his body grew hotter and hotter. His mouth and tongue grew parched and his heartbeat grew even more erratic. Calm down, calm down. 1 + 1 = 2. 1 + 1 = 2. 1 + 1 = Shi Yao's fair thighs. The heck. Unable to take it any longer, Lin Jiege abruptly stood up from the sofa and headed to the changing room to grab a set of home clothes before heading to the bathroom. Chapter 99. By the time the 10th game was over, it was already midnight. Juice, an expert who had lessons the next morning, told Shi Yao that she wasn't playing anymore. Shi Yao replied with an O. Out of curiosity, she sent a private message to Expert of the Monkeys and asked, "What's wrong with your boss? Why does he look so weird today?" Expert of the Monkeys. I don't know. Juice and I are curious too. He's never been like this before. Yao loves ice cream. Don't you guys live in the same dormitory? Expert of the Monkeys. Yeah, but our boss didn't return to the dormitory today. This is the first time our boss hasn't returned to the dormitory during class. Something's going on, Expert of the Monkeys. Sis Yao, do you think our boss went out to do something bad behind Juice and my back? Shi Yao replied with ellipses as she thought. This is the first time I'm seeing a guy who's more gossipy than a girl like me. After the message was sent, Shi Yao, who was still disdainful of Expert of the Monkeys' gossipy nature a second ago, couldn't help but tap on the screen. Your boss actually didn't return to the dormitory? Who knows, he might really have a girlfriend. Does this mean that after tonight your boss won't be as pure as ice anymore? Ah, your boss actually met his own Enchanting. Shi Yao and expert of the monkeys discussed for quite a while before they finally bade each other good night and ended the gossip. The bedroom was very quiet, and she could vaguely hear the sound of running water coming from the bathroom. If she wasn't mistaken, Lin Jiege had been in the bathroom for more than half an hour. How did he take so long to shower? Scary, a man like him is actually living a more delicate life than a girl like me. With no one to accompany her, Shi Yao fell into a daze for a while before tapping on a video streaming app to watch a bite of China to pass the time. Shi Yao had no idea how long she watched it for, but she could remember that drowsiness was slowly creeping up on her. By the time she finally succumbed to sleep, the sound of running water still hadn't stopped. After taking a cold shower for more than an hour, Lin Jiege finally calmed down. He turned off the faucet, wiped himself dry and put on his clean home clothes. Then he stood at the door of the bathroom and silently thought, 1 + 1 = 2. Finally he opened the door and walked out of the bathroom. He walked to the table and picked up the hairdryer. Just as he was about to blow dry his hair, he saw a girl lying on the carpet not far from him, asleep. Soft bun sure is bold. To think that she would dare to sleep so casually in the same room as a stranger. Lin Jiege stared at Shi Yao for a moment before putting down the hairdryer. He walked over to her and bent down to pick her up. She was probably really sleepy because he didn't wake her up. He gently placed her on the bed. When he got up, his gaze landed on her chest. The collar of his t-shirt was a little big on her body, and he could vaguely see half of her chest. It was just a single glance, but Lin Jiege quickly averted his gaze. With a reddened face, he pulled the blanket over her tightly. He stood up straight, but his feet seemed to be enchanted. He couldn't move no matter how hard he tried. Chapter 100. In the instant that his lips touched hers, he suddenly stopped. It was as if he was fighting against something with all his might. A glint flickered in the depths of his eyes, and even after a long time he still chose not to touch her. He tilted his head slightly to avoid her lips before holding his breath in silence for a moment. After which he straightened his body and switched off the lights in the bedroom, leaving only the night light on before walking away. As she was asleep, he didn't blow his hair dry, fearing that the noise from the hairdryer would wake her up. Leaning against the sofa, he absent-mindedly fiddled with his phone for a while before turning his head to look at her on the bed. As he stared at her, he suddenly felt the urge to take a cold shower in the bathroom. This feeling sure is killing me. Is it because I've never touched a woman before that I can't control myself? He suddenly felt that trapping her in his room for an entire night just to prevent her from returning to the academy was a foolish move. Lin Jiege forced himself to retract his gaze, fearing that he might really do something disrespectful to her. Thus he sat on the sofa for a while longer before getting up and quietly making his way to the balcony with his phone in hand. Outside in the middle of the night, it was eerily quiet. Leaning against the white jade railing of the balcony, he gazed at the night sky for a while before sighing deeply. It wasn't that he hadn't endured long nights before, but today's night was even longer and more torturous than his nights alone. The next day Shi Yao woke up naturally from her sleep. She opened her eyes and stared blankly at her unfamiliar surroundings for a moment before realizing that she was in Lin Jiege's bedroom. And she was lying on Lin Jiege's bed. Shi Yao stared at the ceiling in a daze for 10 seconds before she hurriedly tore off her blanket and leaped out of bed. Wasn't I sleeping on the floor? Am I on the bed? Shi Yao lowered her head to take a look at her clothes before looking around the bedroom. The room was empty and Lin Jiege was nowhere to be seen. Beside the pillow was a dress, and on top of the dress were some toiletries. They were probably meant for her. The door to the bedroom was ajar. Clearly someone had opened it from the outside with a key. So, Lin Jiege had already gone out? After making sense of the situation, Shi Yao grabbed the toiletries by the pillow and walked into the bathroom. Halfway through brushing her teeth, she suddenly looked at herself in the mirror and widened her eyes. Last night, was it Lin Jiege who carried her to bed last night? Shi Yao's face reddened and for some reason her heartbeat became erratic. After washing up, Shi Yao didn't dare to linger in Lin Jiege's bedroom any longer. She quickly grabbed her things and headed downstairs. As soon as she walked into the living room, she saw Lin Jie sitting on the sofa. Suddenly, she remembered that he had carried her to bed last night. She blushed again and stopped in her tracks awkwardly. "Good morning." "Morning." Lin Jie was only able to say a single word before an Achuk snatched the rest of his sentence away. Shi Yao turned to look at him in shock. It was only then that she realized that he was carrying a tissue box in his embrace, and the table in front of him was filled with discarded tissues. Did he catch a cold? Before Shi Yao could say a word, Lin Jie had already tossed aside the tissue in his hand and stood up. "Let's go. The driver has been waiting outside for quite some time now." As he spoke, he let out another achoo. Just like how they had entered the Lin family yesterday, Lin Jie walked in front while Shi Yao followed behind him. However, along the way there were a few more sneezes than yesterday. Chapter 101. Under Lin Jie's sneeze, the car slowly drove toward Ji University. Just as they were about to reach the campus, Shi Yao saw the breakfast shop she frequented, and she subconsciously said, "Leave me here. I'm going to have breakfast." The driver shot a glance at Lin Jie. Lin Jie, who was wiping his nose with a napkin, nodded, and the driver stepped on the brakes to stop the car by the roadside. Having starved for an entire night, Shi Yao got out of the car and headed straight for the breakfast shop. She ran up to the counter and said, "Boss, I'd like 3 bowls of wontons." "You actually ordered so many?" Lin Jie, who was following behind her, was just about to ask, "Do you have any friends coming over to eat?" But before he could say a word, he sneezed heavily. Noticing the movement, Shi Yao turned to look at Lin Jie in surprise and asked, "You want to eat too?" Of course, if he wasn't going to eat, why would he follow me in? Lin Jie covered his nose with a napkin, not saying a word. Shi Yao asked again, "What do you want to eat then?" With a nasal voice, Lin Jie replied, "Anything." "Shi Yao, how about the same as me? How about wontons? Their wontons are really good." Lin Jie nodded. Shi Yao asked seriously, "How many bowls do you want?" "How many bowls? Am I hearing things? 1 bowl isn't enough? How many bowls?" Lin Jie's lips twitched, but he fell silent once more. Shi Yao suggested in a negotiating tone, "I'll order a bowl for you first then. If it's not enough for you later, I'll add more for you, alright?" Lin Jie nodded his noble head once more. Shi Yao turned around and said, "Boss, I'd like 4 bowls of wontons." Didn't he order 3 bowls already? Why did he add another one? While sneezing, Lin Jie asked the question he was holding back earlier, "Are you having breakfast with your friends?" Shi Yao shook her head and found a seat. "Nope, it's just the 2 of us." Lin Jie was just about to pull out the chair opposite her when he suddenly froze. "Just the 2 of us? Does that mean that the 2 of us are going to eat 4 bowls of wontons?" In that instant, Lin Jie recalled Shi Yao asking him, "Do you want to eat too? And how many bowls do you want?" Could it be that the 3 bowls of wonton that she ordered at the beginning were for her alone? She ate 3 bowls alone? Lin Jie examined Shi Yao's frail body from head to toe, and he thought that he must have caught a cold and was hallucinating. Just as he calmed himself down and pulled out a chair to take a seat, Shi Yao, who was seated across from him, suddenly seemed to have recalled something. She turned to the counter and said, "Boss, I forgot to say that I want 4 big bowls of wontons." Big bowl? So he wasn't hallucinating? Did her classmate ask her to help bring breakfast? Due to his cold, Lin Jie was feeling a little dizzy, so he didn't dwell on the matter for too long. Soon 4 bowls of wontons were served. By the time Lin Jie gracefully stirred the wonton with a spoon to cool it down, Shi Yao had already finished half a bowl. By the time Lin Jie finished 3 dumplings, Shi Yao had already finished a huge bowl. By the time Lin Jie finished half a bowl of wontons, Shi Yao had already finished 2 big bowls. By the time Lin Jie finished 2/3 of a bowl of wontons, Shi Yao had already finished half of her 3rd bowl. Lin Jie decided to stop eating altogether and stared at Shi Yao in front of him. By the time Shi Yao finished her 3rd bowl, Lin Jie stared at the 3 empty bowls in front of him and blinked his eyes repeatedly. Slowly, his shattered soul began to gather back together. So, did she really order those 3 bowls of wontons for herself? 3 big bowls. Chapter 102. It took a long time before a comment surfaced in Lin Jie's mind. You sure have a big appetite. To think that you can eat more than a grown man like me. How embarrassing. After eating her fill, Yao noticed that Lin Jie was staring at the 3 bowls in front of her, not moving his spoon at all. Ignoring her, she turned to Lin Jie and asked, "Are you full?" "Actually, I'm not full yet. It's just that I'm suffering from a terrible cold and dizziness, so I don't have much of an appetite." Lin Jie replied with a light in response. 1, 2, 3, 4. He actually had 6 wontons left uneaten. What a pity. What a waste. Yao looked at the remaining half a bowl of dumplings in Lin Jie's bowl, and she hesitated for a moment before raising her hand and beckoning to the owner. "Boss, the bill?" "Miss, what are you looking at? Don't tell me that you're still not full after eating 3 big bowls of dumplings, and you're still thinking of snatching my bowl of dumplings as well?" Afraid that Yao would suddenly reach out and snatch the bowl away from him, Lin Jie discreetly reached out and pulled the bowl closer to him. Only after the boss walked over and reported the price did he let go of the bowl and reach into his pocket for some change. Yao also took out her money and said, "Let me do it." Lin Jie passed the money to the owner first and said, "I don't have the habit of living off a woman." Living off a woman. It referred to a man being supported by a woman, and it was commonly referred to as a gigolo. "He's treating me as a gigolo?" Yao's gaze on Lin Jie turned a little bizarre. Meeting her gaze, Lin Jie was taken aback for a moment before he realized that he had used the wrong words. "What's wrong with me? Ever since she saw the erotic manga on my table last night, I've been saying the wrong word." Lin Jie rubbed his throbbing temples as he added, "What I meant was that I don't have the habit of letting a woman treat me to a meal." Oh. Yao nodded her head vigorously, indicating that she understood. Lin Jie took the change from the owner and kicked the chair behind him away. Scope. Yao took her things and obediently followed behind him. The driver didn't leave, waiting by the roadside. However, Yao didn't follow Lin Jie. About that. Hearing that voice, Lin Jie halted his footsteps and turned around to look at Yao. He saw that she was standing at the entrance of the breakfast shop, not following him, and a slight frown appeared on his forehead. "Yao. Why don't you get the driver to send you back to school? It's not too far from here, so I'll just walk over." The frown on Lin Jie's forehead deepened. Seeing that Zhang Xian wasn't reacting to her words, Yao explained, "Well, it's almost time for morning classes, so there should be a lot of people in the academy. It won't be good if we return to the academy like this. How strange." There's nothing wrong with what she said. He doesn't want anyone to know that they're acquainted. Noticing that Lin Jie's expression had turned even darker, Yao couldn't help but mutter under her breath. "So you should get on the car. I won't be joining you." Lin Jie's lips were tightly pursed together as he stared at Yao with an indescribably fearsome gaze. Yao took a small step back, deciding to slip away. "I'll be leaving first. Bye-bye." As she said those words, Yao began walking toward the entrance of the academy. Barely after taking 2 steps, she caught a glimpse of Lin Jie walking toward her with a livid expression from the corner of her eye. What is he doing? It can't be that he's going to beat me up, right? Chapter 103. But before she could even get 2 meters away, Lin Jie suddenly grabbed her arm. "Why?" Before Yao could finish her sentence, Lin Jie had already interjected, "You take the car back to school. I'll walk back." Yao was stunned. 2 seconds later, she raised her head to look at Lin Jie. The young man's expression didn't show any signs of improving, but there wasn't the slightest hint of displeasure in his tone. She had to describe his tone, it would be helplessness and dejection. Why would he speak in such a tone? While Yao was still in a daze, Lin Jie had already pulled her arm over to the car and said, "Take her back to school. Don't forget about the cake in the trunk. Remember to pass it to her when she alights." The driver, "Yes, young master." Without saying a word, Lin Jie opened the car door and shoved Yao inside. Just as he was about to close the door, he suddenly seemed to have thought of something. He placed one arm on the roof of the car and the other on the door. Leaning forward slightly, he stared at Yao and asked, "Are you very close with Liang Juxi's cousin?" Lin Jie had no idea just how seductive his actions were in the eyes of the onlookers. Yao felt as if there was a little deer hiding in her heart, running around aimlessly. She gulped down a mouthful of saliva, but no matter how hard she tried she couldn't stop the little deer. Thinking that she didn't know who Liang Jusi was, Lin Jierge continued. Liang Jusi's cousin, the last next door. Her name is Liang. Lin Jierge shot a glance at the driver and the driver quickly added. Mumu. Oh, that's her. As Lin Jierge spoke, he turned his gaze back to Shi Yao and asked. Are you very close with her? Shi Yao tried her best to calm the little deer that was running around in her heart. We're pretty close. Whenever she has something good to eat she'll share it with me. Miss, are you using this method to determine the degree of closeness? Lin Jierge was silent for a moment before he moved his lips once more. About that. He only spoke those 2 words before he suddenly stopped. Shi Yao raised her head and looked at him. What's wrong? Lin Jierge didn't say a word. Shi Yao waited for a moment before asking, Lin Jierge? Recovering from his daze, Lin Jierge replied with a faint, it's nothing, before closing the door and taking 2 steps back, signaling for the driver to leave. As the car started up, Shi Yao glanced at Lin Jierge through the window. The youth sneezed again. He took out a tissue from his pocket and wiped his nose. Being handsome indeed had its benefits. Even such an unsightly action was a beautiful sight to behold when it was done by him. After sighing, Shi Yao suddenly recalled Lin Jierge's earlier question. Are you very close with Liang Jusi's cousin? She pursed her lips and lowered her eyes. Although he didn't say it, she seemed to know what he was going to say. But why did he stop when he said that it was only the beginning? Shi Yao vaguely understood the reason why he had stopped, but she couldn't be too sure. Or rather, she thought that it was impossible. Why would he be so kind as to warn her about Liang Mumu? He had a close relationship with Liang Jusi. They were brothers who had grown up together and Liang Mumu was his neighbor. She had grown up following behind him and Liang Jusi. No matter how she thought about it, he shouldn't be siding with her. This was really weird. He was clearly going to tell her not to hang out with Liang Jusi's cousin. Xia Shangzhou, F***CKF. The 2 of them argued for quite a while before they realized that they had gone off topic. They quickly turned to look at Lin Jierge, but before they could say anything, Xia Shangzhou's sharp eyes caught sight of what Lin Jierge was copying. With a horrified look on his face, he exclaimed, Boss, didn't you say that you didn't want to take on this project? You feel that this project is too difficult and pays too little, so it's not worth it. Why did you accept it now? While tapping on the keyboard, Lin Jierge casually replied, Oh, I suddenly realized that I'm very poor. Boss, you're insulting me. Yes. Not counting the family assets, just the savings in your bank account alone is more than 8 digits. How dare you say you're poor? You're showing off. Chapter 105. That's right. Boss, you'll lose me if you continue like this. You'll lose me too. Heh. As if he had heard the funniest joke in the world, Lin Jierge sneered disdainfully and said disdainfully, You make it sound as if I've had you before. Lu Benlai, boss, as long as you're willing, you can have me any time you want. Xia Shangzhou, boss, I'll warm your bed for you tonight. Oh no, I'll warm the bed for my 8-digit savings. Lin Jierge's lips twitched. He couldn't be bothered with these 2 shameless fellows anymore. After copying the documents, Lin Jierge switched off his laptop and picked up a book by the side. I'm going to be late. Let's head to class. Xia Shangzhou and Lu Benlai grabbed their textbooks and followed behind him. While walking out of the dormitory room, Lu Benlai didn't forget to ask, Boss, I'm serious. Why did you suddenly accept that project? That's right. Before Lin Jierge could finish his words, Xia Shangzhou had already interjected, Boss, don't tell me that you suddenly feel that I'm poor or something like that to fool a 3-year-old. No, even a 3-year-old wouldn't be fooled by such words. I'm being serious. I really do feel that I'm a little poor, so I recently discovered a... At this point, Lin Jierge suddenly paused and swallowed the words a girl back into his stomach. Then he changed his words, a pet that has a huge appetite. It's the kind that can eat 3 men's meals in a single meal. I'm afraid that my savings won't be enough, so I decided to work hard to earn some money. Xia Shangzhou widened his eyes in shock. What kind of pet is that? It actually has such a huge appetite. Lu Benlai's mouth widened in shock. Boss, the pet you're talking about can't be a pig, right? Ha! Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou burst into heartless laughter. However, their laughter only lasted for less than 3 seconds before it abruptly died down. That was because their boss's expression was filled with displeasure. Lu Benlai reacted swiftly, and in the next second he shot a thumbs up at Lin Jiege and began fawning over him, as expected of our boss. Even a pet you're raising is so refreshing. Xia Shangzhou and Lu Benlai reacted in unison. Boss, I'm begging you for the type of pet. I want to raise the same pet as you. You must be joking. How could Soft Bun be a pig? Even if it was a pig, it was the one and only pig in this world. So if you want to raise the same type, hee, dream on. With this thought in mind, Lin Jiege hastened his footsteps. Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou shouted boss, as they sped up as well. Lu Benlai, boss, speaking of which, where did you go last night? Don't tell me something really happened? Xia Shangzhou, that's right boss. You can't be like this. If you're not honest, you're not your roommate. This is the first time you didn't return home during the time you didn't ask for leave. Also boss, your dark eye circles are very heavy. It's obvious that you didn't sleep at all last night. So fierce. Furthermore boss, you even caught a cold. Don't tell me you're doing it outdoors? Lu Benlai, holy shit, my nose is about to bleed. I didn't know that our boss was such a good player. You know how to play your sister. At the mention of last night, Lin Jiege's face darkened by half. He didn't sleep for the whole night, but it wasn't a ferocious night. He had indeed done it outdoors, but he had been standing on the balcony, exposed to the cold wind for an entire night. If he were to talk about his fortuitous encounter last night, the greatest fortuitous encounter would probably be that he, a top student of the mathematics faculty, had forgotten what 1 + 1 was, and that he, the Adonis who claimed to be able to sleep with anyone who saw him, ended up running a cold fever last night. Chapter 107. It sure was a coincidence that Mr. Numbers and Lin Jiege fell sick at the same time. However, Lin Jiege seemed to be suffering from a rather severe cold this morning. I wonder if he's feeling any better now? With such thoughts in mind, Shi Yao couldn't focus on her shower. Last night she had fallen asleep due to her drowsiness and occupied his bed. Did he catch a cold because he didn't get a good night's rest? An indescribable sense of guilt welled up in Shi Yao's heart. In the past, when she didn't have much interaction with him, she thought that he was a cold and aloof person who was difficult to approach. However, after interacting with him a few times, she realized that he wasn't what she had imagined him to be. He was very polite and filial to his elders. In fact, he even gave her his car this morning. But the cake he had the driver bring her was really delicious. It seems like the topic has drifted off. Shi Yao hurriedly pulled her thoughts back from the cake. Should I send him a message to show some concern for him? This question lingered around Shi Yao's mind even after she had finished her shower and was lying on her bed. She hesitated for a long while before tapping on her phone and searching for Lin Jiege's name. She carefully organized her words, then typed a line of words on the screen. Have you recovered from your cold? Shi Yao wanted to tap on the send button, but before her fingers could touch the screen, she shrunk back timidly. Wasn't it a little too abrupt for her to send him a message like this? After all, to him she might still be that person whom he didn't want to know at all. Shi Yao pursed her lips as she stared at her phone for a long time. In the end, she still chose to give up. She locked the screen and tossed her phone to the side of her pillow. It was best for her not to meddle in his affairs. Just like how she shouldn't have worried about his cold when she was bathing earlier, she shouldn't have been worrying about it. The two of them had never belonged to the same world. Even though they had crossed paths over the past 6 years, it was only a point of intersection. It was destined that the two of them would walk further and further away from each other in the future. When she proposed to cancel the engagement, he agreed to it without any hesitation. If not for Grandpa Lin's sudden illness, they would have already severed all ties with each other by now. Shi Yao closed her eyes and turned around. She didn't know what was wrong with her. It wasn't that she didn't have these thoughts in the past. At most, she felt that his words were too hurtful and hurt her self-esteem. But now she felt that her heart was in a mess. She couldn't sort it out and she couldn't find the source. The next afternoon Yao didn't have any lessons, so she woke up from her afternoon nap. While waiting for her 3 roommates to head out for hot pot, she logged into the game and played for a while. Then she met a new friend, Northern Tea. In the evening, while Yao was eating hot pot, she received a message from Juice and Expert in the Sexy and Frisky chat group. They had a get-together that night, so they'd have to play a little later. Yao replied with a got it before turning her attention back to the hot pot. It was barely 8:30 by the time Yao returned to her dormitory room. With nothing else to do, she logged into the game once more. 111111 was actually online and had even invited her to form a team. Wasn't there supposed to be a gathering tonight? Why didn't he go? Perplexed, Yao walked into the room and heard the sound of sneezing coming from the other end of the game. It was only then that Yao recalled that Expert had told her last night that less than 111,111 was suffering from a fever. Chapter 108. With such thoughts in mind, Yao swallowed her bewildered words and asked, "Have you recovered from your fever?" 111,111, replied with a nasal hum. Yao didn't say anything, but she suddenly thought of Lin Jiege. A cold isn't a serious illness, but it's still a painful one. I wonder how he's doing today. 111,111. Get ready. Yao snapped out of her daze, and just as she was about to start the game, she noticed that there was an unread message in her friends list. She tapped on it and saw that it was a message from her friend, Northern Tea, whom she just met in the afternoon. "Big sis, do you want to play with me?" As Yao spoke to 111,111, she also invited Northern Tea. "I want to invite a friend." Room 501. Lin Jiege, who was wrapped in a thick blanket with 2 balls of toilet paper stuffed in his nostrils and a fever relief patch on his forehead, thought that the person whom Yao loves ice cream had dragged over was her close female friend in real life, so he didn't think too much of it and started the game. After entering the matchmaking zone, a male voice sounded in his earpiece. It was Northern Tea, who had been invited by Yao loves ice cream. "Big sis, are you done eating?" "Yao loves ice cream. I'm done." "Northern Tea, what did you eat?" "Yao loves ice cream. Hot pot." Listening to the conversation between the two of them, a slight frown appeared on Lin Jiege's forehead. He typed a few words on the keyboard and sent out a message. "This is Yao loves ice cream. I made a new friend this afternoon." Lin Jiege didn't say anything else, but an indescribable displeasure surfaced in his heart. It was the same displeasure he'd felt when he found out that Han Jing had sent Yao a message in his grandfather's ward yesterday. How strange. Why did Big White Chubby and Soft Bun always evoke the same emotions in him? "Yao loves ice cream," spoke up once more. "Northern Tea is amazing. She brought me to 2 chicken dinners this afternoon." Ever since I met you, I've eaten 20 chicken dinners with you. Why didn't you praise me for being amazing?" Lin Jiege didn't feel like speaking anymore. Ever since the game started, Northern Tea and Yao loves ice cream had been chatting nonstop. "Northern Killer, Miss, am I awesome? Yao loves ice cream. Impressive. Amazing my ass. What's there to brag about jumping into a desolate and uninhabited place and killing a robot?" Lin Jiege pretended not to hear their conversation. "Northern Tea, Miss, there's a level 3 helmet here. Come and pick it up." "Yao loves ice cream. I'm coming." "Northern Tea, am I good?" "Yao loves ice cream. Sure. How good my A**. I didn't expect Big White Chubby to be not only fat, but also blind." Glancing at the blue circle, Lin Jiege found a car by the side of the road and began honking furiously, urging the two of them to get into the car and flee from the blue circle. Northern Tea boarded the car first, followed by Yao loves ice cream. After that, Northern Tea, who was seated in the front passenger seat, moved to the back seat and sat side by side with Yao loves ice cream. Did they think he was their driver? Lin Jiege stepped hard on the accelerator and the car sped off. "Northern Tea, Miss, watch how I bring you to a chicken dinner." Chapter 109. Northern Tea, Little Missy, you're actually pretty good at getting chicken dinner. You even saved me when I was knocked out earlier this afternoon. Young man, are you sure you're praising by Chubby and not scolding her? Saving people is common sense, alright? If you don't even know how to save your teammates, what's the point of playing a game like this? Lin Jiaj pressed down on his phone and drove as fast as he could. Yao loves ice cream. Clearly didn't think that she was being scolded. On the contrary, she thought that she was being praised. After all, this was the first time she had heroically saved someone in the game. I realized that this game isn't that difficult after all. In the past, I didn't even dare to move when people attacked me. But now I actually dare to save someone. Is this the resonance between two noobs? Lin Jiaj's lips twitched as he thought, Big White Chubby isn't just a fatty, she's blind and she's a fool too. Northern T. Little Missy, you're the best Little Missy I've ever seen. Northern T. Little Missy, can I add you on WeChat later? Add me on WeChat. It took Lin Jiaj a second to hear those words, but he immediately stepped on the brakes. Northern T. Number 1, why did you stop? The poison is coming. Ignoring Northern T, Lin Jiaj tapped on the screen and jumped back into the car. This time, however, he chose to sit in the front passenger seat instead of the driver's seat. Northern T. Number 1, aren't you going to drive? Northern T. If you're not going to drive, I'll drive. Come down and let Little Missy and I sit in the front. But before he could finish his words, the car suddenly exploded. Following which 3 lines of text appeared on his phone screen. 111,111, eliminated, Northern T, with Grenade Shard. 111,111, eliminated, Yao loves ice cream, with Grenade Shard. 111,111, eliminated, 111,111, with Grenade Shard. Yao loves ice cream. How did I die? What happened? Northern T, the heck? Number 1, what are you doing? Why did you blow up a car full of people? Continue chatting, continue chatting. Didn't you say Little Missy is awesome? Little Missy will bring you to chicken dinner earlier? Why aren't you chatting now? Didn't you say you were going to take me to a chicken dinner? Now that the entire team had been wiped out, eat. Due to his cold, Lin Jiaj's throat was hurting so much that he couldn't be bothered to speak. Facing the incessant questioning from his earpiece, he leisurely tapped on the screen a few times and sent out a message. Sorry, my hand slipped. Northern T, OMG. While Northern T was still in a daze, Lin Jiaj didn't start the second round immediately. Instead he added Northern T as a friend. It didn't take long for the friend request to be accepted, but Lin Jiaj still hadn't started the game yet. Two seconds later, Sure Yao added, but it's not like you're a noob. It's just that your hand slipped. Who hasn't made a mistake before? This person is too realistic. Chapter 111. Without any hesitation, Sure Yao replied, I won't bother with him anymore. He was the one who added me as a friend and now he deleted me from his list. Anyone who cares about someone like him is a dog. Since she had already raised the flag, it was likely that Big White Chubby would have nothing to do with Northern. A hint of a smile crept onto Lin Jiaj's lips, but his tone was completely different from the seriousness on his face. Are you angry? Without waiting for Yao loves ice cream to say anything, Lin Jiaj continued with the same stern tone. I'm sorry for implicating you in this matter. Actually, he couldn't be considered angry at all. After all, they had only met by chance in the game and played together for a while. Hearing 111,111 words, Sure Yao also felt a little embarrassed. And no, I'm not angry. How could someone who has nothing to do with me be worth getting angry over? I was just making a casual remark. Compared to Northern T, Mr. Numbers was really much better. Sure Yao was afraid that 111,111 would feel burdened by the earlier incident, so she added, in any case he's already deleted me from his list, so let's not talk about him anymore. It's a waste of our saliva. Let's start playing. Rubbing his nose, Lin Jiaj didn't say a word. Instead he tapped on the screen a few times and sent a, alright, over. After that he changed the squad mode to duo mode and started the game. To Lin Jiege, the greatest joy of the game was jumping into crowded areas and destroying everyone in sight. It was a pity that he had brought along a burden like Big White Chubby. If he were to jump into crowded areas, she would probably die the moment she landed. So Lin Jiege chose to jump at the end of the flight path, where there was basically no one around. After landing, Lin Jiege headed to the nearest building to pick up some equipment. When he picked up a fragment of a bomb, he recalled how Northern T had exaggerated that Big White Chubby had saved him in the afternoon, so without any hesitation he ignited the bomb and blew himself up. How did you die? Is there anyone here? Where are you? What should I do? Faced with Big White Chubby's flustered and helpless questions, Lin Jiege rolled his eyes and replied slowly, "There's no one around. My hand slipped again and I blew myself up. Come over and help me up." Oh, so that's the case. As Yao loves ice cream, words echoed in his ears. Lin Jiege could hear her approaching footsteps. Barely 10 seconds after he saved Lin Jiege, the latter collapsed to the ground once more. Yao loves ice cream. Your hand slipped again? 111,111. No, I just wanted to throw the bomb into the room upstairs, but I didn't expect it to hit the wall and bounce back, killing me. Yao loves ice cream, who was in the midst of eating, nodded before running over to help Lin Jiege up. This time, roughly 30 seconds later, Lin Jiege found a motorbike and started racing. Wherever he saw a rock he would knock it down, and just as he had hoped he ended up falling to his death. Yao loves ice cream saved Lin Jiege for the third time, and it just so happened that the blue circle had appeared. When Lin Jiege got close to the safe zone he intentionally stopped moving, allowing the poison gas to poison him to death before climbing into the safe zone. Yao loves ice cream saved him for the fourth time. Chapter 112. Lin Jiege kept changing his methods, making himself die one after another so that Yao loves ice cream would save him one after another. It was only after he had been saved by Yao loves ice cream 10 times that he finally picked up the AWM that he had secretly looted when he passed by the airdrop and activated his frenzied slaughter mode. That damned Northern T, who only knew how to call him Little Missy. What's there to be proud of just being saved by Big White Chubby once? I've been saved by Big White Chubby 10 times. After winning the chicken dinner before starting the next round, Lin Jiege heard the sound of packaging being unwrapped from Yao loves ice cream side through his earpiece. Recalling the question Northern T had asked her, he couldn't help but ask, "What did you eat?" So he couldn't help but ask, "You haven't stopped eating the entire night. What did you eat?" Yao loves ice cream. Ham sausage, wong wong snow pancake, white rabbit creamy candy, macadamia nuts, drunkard's peanuts, jelly. It was just a casual question. Did she really have to reply in such detail? As this thought flashed across Lin Jiege's mind, a sentence suddenly echoed in his ears. Yusiang shredded pork, red braised pork, Sichuan poached fish, tea egg, a bowl of rice, and a bowl of pork ribs corn soup. 2 days ago, when he heard that Soft Bun had gone to visit his grandfather, he had rushed over to stop her from chatting with his grandfather. This was the answer Soft Bun had given him when he asked her what she had eaten for lunch. Surprisingly, Big White Chubby and Soft Bun's answers were identical. Lin Jiege stared at his phone screen for a moment. Even he didn't realize that he had blurted out, "They really look alike. Yao loves ice cream." "What do you mean?" Lin Jiege recovered from his daze and replied nonchalantly, "Nothing much." Big White Chubby and Soft Bun's voices didn't sound alike, but there were still some similarities between them. It was a pity that he hadn't interacted with Soft Bun much, so he didn't know her that well. But then again, it couldn't be such a coincidence that they were the same person. Lin Jiege lowered his gaze. But for some reason he really hoped that Big White Chubby was Soft Bun and Soft Bun was Big White Chubby. As she didn't have any lessons the next day, she indulged herself and played until late into the night. By the time she woke up the next day, it was already noon. As soon as Shi Yao opened her eyes, the first thing she thought about was what she should eat later on. Today was Friday. The big cafeteria had chicken drumsticks and the small cafeteria had braised fish. Shi Yao hesitated for a long time before deciding to head to the canteen to buy some red braised fish first before heading to the main canteen to order some chicken drumsticks. Having arranged lunch perfectly, Shi Yao immediately climbed out of bed to wash up. But in the midst of washing up, He Tiantian suddenly screamed, "Yao!" Jiang Yu and Leng Nuan were jolted awake by He Tiantian, and they hurriedly sat up and shouted, "Earthquake?" One of them rubbed his eyes and asked blankly, "What happened?" Ignoring Jiang Yu and Leng Nuan, He Tiantian continued scrolling through her phone screen while shouting loudly, "Yao, come over here. Yao Yao, bad news. Yao Yao. Sure Yao." Sure Yao continued dawdling in the washroom until she was done washing up before walking out. "What's the matter? Can we talk about it in the canteen?" "Eat. You're still thinking about eating at a time like this." He Tian rushed up to Sure Yao and shoved her phone into Sure Yao's hands. "Take a look for yourself." Sure Yao lowered her head and saw that He Tiantian's phone was showing the school forum page. Currently, the most popular thread was, G University's female student spends the night with a different partner. Chapter 113. So, the reason why He Tiantian called her out so anxiously was to show her the school gossip thread? Compared to food, she really wasn't interested in gossip at all. The title of the thread was extremely alluring, and anyone who saw it would be tempted to click on it to learn more about it. Sure Yao was no exception. However, she could take her time to read it after lunch and have her afternoon tea. Without clicking on the title, Sure Yao passed the phone back to He Tiantian and said, "I'll accept the gossip you've shared with me, but let's go eat first." "Student Sure Yao, I'll allow you to go eat, but I beg of you to take a look at the content of this thread first before deciding whether you want to eat or not, alright?" He Tiantian had a slightly plump body and she would smile whenever she met others. It was rare for her to be so serious. This was the first time Sure Yao had seen her like this ever since she entered the university. Sure Yao was silent for 2 seconds before she took back He Tiantian's phone. Raising her finger, she tapped into the thread titled, "A certain G University female student spends the night with a different man." The person who posted the thread was titled Slaughter Lu Bu Bang Diao Chan. Sure Yao felt a cold sweat trickle down her spine. What a weird name. However, she was in a rush to head to the canteen, so she didn't linger on the name for too long. She quickly moved on to the main thread. Who would have thought that a certain G University female student spends the night with a different man? Alright, let's get straight to the pictures. The first picture was of a black Audi parked in front of the female dormitory. A female student dressed in pink jumped out of the car and bent down to speak to a man inside. It was probably taken with a phone, so the quality of the image wasn't too clear. She could barely make out the female student's face, but other than the outline of the man, which was a middle-aged man, it was hard to make out anything else. The situation depicted in this picture might be foreign to others, but to Sure Yao, it was extremely familiar. She was the female student, and the car belonged to the Lin family. The middle-aged man was the chauffeur of the Lin family. The second picture was taken in front of a motel. She was still the female student, but the male student was Han Jing. The third picture was even more familiar to Sure Yao. It was the night 2 days ago when she followed Lin Jiege into his house. In the fourth picture it was still her and Lin Jiege, but the time was changed to the morning of the day before yesterday. She and Lin Jiege were walking into a breakfast shop one after another. Out of the 4 pictures, her face was the clearest, so everyone could tell that the person in the pictures was the same person. This post was posted at 3 in the morning. Up until now, 9 hours had passed and the number of comments had already reached almost 800. Sure Yao skimmed through the contents of the first page. Those people didn't know who she was, but they were all insults directed at her. Lying on the bed, Jiang Yu and Leng Nuan noticed that something was amiss with Sure Yao's expression, so they quickly put on their clothes and rushed over to Sure Yao's side. When they saw the content on He Tiantian's phone, their complexions immediately turned awful. On the third page of the thread, a sock puppet named, Tearing Apart the Green Tea Bitch, revealed her information. "I know her. She's a freshman from the English faculty, and her name is Sure Yao. She's from the same dormitory as Leng Nuan, the girl who nearly outvoted Qin Yiran in the recent campus belle selection." Chapter 114. On the third page of the thread, a sock puppet named, Tearing Apart the Green Tea Bitch, revealed some information about her. "I know her. She's a freshman from the English faculty, and her name is Sure Yao. She's from the same dormitory as Leng Wan, the girl who nearly outvoted Qin Yuran in the recent campus belle selection. Wow, so her name is Shi Yao. The name sounds alright, but her character isn't all that great. When I saw Leng Wan's photo, I thought that she was exceptionally beautiful, the kind of beauty that transcends the mortal world. I didn't think that she would be sharing a dormitory with such a person. As the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. I'm afraid that Leng Wan isn't a good person either. Haven't you heard of it? There's a saying that goes, the more aloof and pure a girl looks on the surface, the more despicable she is on the inside. The netizens chatted for 10 whole pages around the revelation of tearing apart the green tea bitch, before a new discussion was started by a person named, "Why did you become a chicken?" I know the guy in the second picture. He's Han Jing from the art faculty, and he's from the same class as campus belle Qin Yuran. Didn't he participate in the national violin competition last year and win an award? I didn't think that he would actually book a room with someone. It's one thing for him to book a room, but it's even one of those motel rooms. How can one's worldview be ruined? So, that girl named Shi Yao isn't just hanging out with a rich middle-aged uncle, she's also messing around with all kinds of seniors in school. The guy in the last 2 pictures is my Adonis. How can my Adonis be together with such a woman? And she even brought him home to spend the night with him. Am I the only one who's curious about how she manages to deal with so many men? Previous poster, you probably don't understand. It's because she's flirtatious and frivolous. After all, men are creatures with their lower bodies. As long as you're willing to go all out, you can do the same too. I think she's probably out to sell herself. Many people replied. Their words were too much. It was really hard to look at. Shi Yao swiftly scanned through the thread, and when she reached the last few pages of the thread, she saw a new piece of news. It was from the original poster. Slaughter Lu Bu Bang Diao Chan. Breaking news. Breaking news. I heard that Adonis Lin wasn't the one who wanted to bring that student named Shi Yao home. She was the one who shamelessly went up to him. Furthermore, according to an insider, Adonis Lin couldn't be bothered to touch her at all. He didn't even allow her to enter his house, and in the end she shamelessly waited outside his house for an entire night. Now that you mention it, it seems to be the case. Look, my idol is walking in front. He looks like he's walking very fast, as if he's trying to get rid of her. Thank God my idol wasn't bitten by a dog. Luckily, my Adonis held his bottom line and didn't let me down. I hope that this little bitch called Yao or whatever stays away from my Adonis. My Adonis isn't someone a shameless trash like you can get close to. Seeing this, Jiang Yu couldn't help but say, F***C. I really can't stand this temper of mine. Where's my saber? I'm going to slaughter these idiots. Just based on a few photos they dare to slander others? They're really a bunch of idiots. They're the fighter jets of idiots, all right. Chapter 115. Heedeon, I nearly died from anger when I saw it earlier, alright? Even if Lin Jiage is my Adonis, I still can't stand it. Lin Jiage might be handsome, but our Yao Yao is a beauty too. What do you mean by their Adonis wasn't bitten by a dog? You're talking as if our Yao Yao loves their Adonis. Jiang Yu. Also, this is a photo of me and Han Jing. This was taken last month when we went karaoke together. This motel is right next to the karaoke. Back then Han Jing and Yao Yao were waiting for us. What do you mean by getting a hotel room? Only filthy people would have such filthy thoughts. Leng Wan. And what do you mean by shameless trash like you? She's the trash. Her entire family is trash. I'm going to clear Yao Yao's name on the forums. He Tian and Jiang Yu quickly followed suit. I'll go too. Forget it. Shi Yao, who had been staring at her phone silently all this while, suddenly spoke up. He Tian raised her voice. What do you mean by forget it? How can you just forget it? Yao Yao, can you tolerate what they're saying about you? Even if you can tolerate it as your roommate, I can't. Shi Yao returned the phone to He Tian, and with her usual calm tone she said, Of course I can't tolerate it. I'm very angry. He Tian, Jiang Yu and Leng Wan stared at the calm Shi Yao for 2 seconds before asking in unison, Are you sure that you're very angry? Shi Yao replied with a straight face, I'm sure. I'm really very angry and I'm beyond furious. However, just because I'm angry doesn't mean that we have to engage in a war of words with them on the forums. They won't believe any of us, and if we respond to them on the forums, they'll only attack us even more furiously. So, there's no need for us to waste our time and energy arguing with them on the forums. Completely at a loss, Jiang Yu asked, then what should we do? We can't possibly allow them to spread such unjust rumors, can we? Shi Yao replied swiftly, of course not. Seeing Shi Yao's nonchalant attitude, He Tiantian's eyes suddenly lit up. Yao, do you have a solution? Shi Yao shook her head and answered honestly, no. She looked at her three roommates' disappointed expressions, and in the next second she smiled and said, but can't we think of something? So let's go eat first. Leng Nuan, Yao, you're already in such a state but you're still able to eat? Why can't I eat? Shi Yao felt that she was making a lot of sense, so she added, I'll only have the strength to think of a solution after I'm full. I really have to give it to you. I don't know if I should say that your heart is too big or that your brain isn't enough. Alright, let's go eat first. Jiang Yu said as she opened the closet and began to rummage through the clothes. On the way to the canteen, He Tiantian brought the topic back to the forum. Say, who do you guys think posted that thread? Those photos weren't taken in a single day, which means that someone has been paying close attention to Yao Yao for several days now. What's her motive? Just for hey Yao Yao? Jiang Yu said, but Yao Yao isn't interested in anything except eating. She shouldn't have offended anyone. On the other hand, Leng Nuan was more rational. Yao Yao, you should think about it carefully. Who did you offend unknowingly? Chapter 116. He Tiantian's furious expression immediately turned into one of curiosity. Yao, who is it? Who is it? This. Shi Yao wasn't sure if it was because she was unwilling to face the truth or because she was still harboring a sliver of hope, but even though that person's name was already at the tip of her tongue, she still couldn't bring herself to say it. I'll tell you once I'm sure of it. Please don't. You should tell me first. Yao. Before He Tiantian could finish her words, Leng Nuan, who had noticed the peculiar look on Shi Yao's face, pulled her back and said, all right, Tone. Yao said that she'll tell us once she's sure, so she'll definitely tell us. As she spoke, Leng Nuan shot a glance at He Tiantian, and it was only then that He Tiantian noticed the dejection in Shi Yao's eyes. She quickly shut her mouth and changed the topic. But while they were eating, Jiang Yu still asked a question that everyone had been wondering about. Yao, are you acquainted with Lin Jiaj? Shi Yao, who had just finished her red braised fish and was just about to dig into her chicken drumstick, suddenly froze upon hearing those words. Over the past half a year her dormitory room had often mentioned Lin Jiaj, but due to the words that Lin Jiaj had said to her, she had never mentioned that she knew him to anyone in the dormitory room. Someone had already taken a photo of her going to his house and posted it on the school forum. No matter how hard she tried to pretend that she didn't know Lin Jiaj, she wouldn't be able to hide it anymore. Shi Yao pondered for a moment, but in the end she decided to keep half of the truth and half of it. My grandfather and his grandfather are comrades, so we know each other. Before He Tiantian and Jiang Yu could fly into a rage, she added, however, I'm not familiar with him and he doesn't wish for others to know that we're acquainted. That's why I didn't mention this to you. Oh, so that's how it is. I thought you guys were very familiar with each other. I could lean on you and watch my Prince Charming up close. He Tiantian sighed deeply before turning to Shi Yao with glowing eyes and asking, Yao, everyone says that Lin Jiaj comes from a wealthy family. Is that true? Everyone also said that the people their family interacts with are all of high status and identity. Is that true? Also, Shi Yao rolled her eyes and in the face of He Tiantian's gossipy questions, she lowered her head and continued munching on her drumstick. At 8:30 p.m. in the Sexy and Frisky WeChat group, a message from Expert of the Monkeys popped up punctually. Sis Yao wanna play? Expert of the Monkeys, and Yao loves ice cream. Holed up in her dormitory room, Shi Yao had just finished scrolling through the thread, which had gone from 800 replies to 1200. Disinterestedly she tapped on the screen and replied, You guys go ahead. I don't feel like playing today. Expert of the Monkeys. What's wrong? Not in a good mood? Juice. What happened? Did someone bully you? Shi Yao replied with a crying emoji before falling silent. In fact, for a moment she wanted to complain to them about her experience, but when the words came to her fingertips, she thought that it was not something to be proud of. After all, she did not know them in real life, so she chose to remain silent. Expert of the monkeys. Did someone really bully you? Sis Yao, tell me who he is and I'll destroy his entire family for you. Juice. Who dares to bully our Sis Yao? He must be tired of living. Faced with the endless messages from Monkey and Juice, Shi Yao chose to remain silent. Just as she was about to exit WeChat, someone in the group called her. Chapter 117. Even Mr. Numbers has chosen me. After a moment of hesitation, Shi Yao decided to go online. Shi Yao thought that Juice and Expert would be around as well, so she accepted 111,111's invite and entered the room. It was only then that she realized that she and Mr. Numbers were the only ones there. She was just about to ask if Juice and Expert weren't playing. But before she could say anything, less than 111,111 had already started the game. Unlike when he was playing with less than 111,111, he was no longer silent. Even though it wasn't a lot of words, it was still many times more than before. Finish looting these buildings as fast as you can. Are you done? If you are, get in the car and follow me. Get out of the car and give me everything you've looted. Do you see that place? There's cover all around. Hide there. 111,111's instructions. Shi Yao did as she was told. After hiding in the area that less than 111,111 pointed out, she watched as less than 111,111 took out the items from his backpack one by one and tossed them onto the ground. Med kits, energy drinks, painkillers, level 3 helmets, level 2 armor, 98k. What is Mr. Numbers doing? He's actually tossing away all the equipment that we've worked so hard to pick up. While Shi Yao was still perplexed by the situation, 111,111 suddenly ran toward her with the only M416 he had on his back. Just as he was about to reach Shi Yao, he leaped elegantly into the air and landed firmly beside her. Less than 111,111, watch carefully. There's going to be a good show soon. Shi Yao obediently listened to 111,111's instructions and began to watch carefully. A minute passed and the equipment was still neatly placed on the ground. 2 minutes passed and it was still the same. 3 minutes passed. Shi Yao was starting to get a little impatient. Just as she was about to ask less than 111,111 what he wanted her to watch, a red car emblem appeared on the minimap. Someone's here. Shi Yao quickly shut her mouth. A few seconds later, the sound of a car gradually approached and stopped right in front of her and less than 111,111. Since she and 111,111 were hiding behind cover, the two people who got out of the car didn't notice them. When they saw 111,111 tossing out a row of equipment, they started talking to each other. Who is this? He actually has such stylish equipment. F*CK, there's still a 98k, I want to pick it up. Don't snatch my medicine bag, it's mine. As the two of them chatted, they rushed towards the equipment they wanted. Just as they were about to bend down to pick up the equipment, 111,111, who had been cowering in front of Shi Yao, suddenly stood up and fired at the duo with his M416. Following which 2 lines of words appeared on his phone screen. 111,111 eliminated cute auntie with M416. 111,111 used M416 to eliminate. Write a paper to calm down. This game could actually be played this way? Shi Yao blinked her eyes as she couldn't help but exclaim in her heart, Mr. Numbers sure is cunning. To think that he would use equipment as bait to lure someone in and kill them with a single shot. While Shi Yao was still in shock, 111,111 had already run out and looted the crates of the 2 players he had just killed. After which he called out to Shi Yao and drove to another location. Just like before, he placed the equipment on the ground one by one. However, this time he didn't arrange them in a straight line but a square. After he was done, he hopped over to Shi Yao and tossed his M416 to the ground. If anyone comes later, it'll be your turn. Chapter 118. Shi Yao, who hadn't killed anyone in her entire life, hurriedly replied, No, 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 I can't do it. 111111. How do you know that you can't do it if you don't try? Alright then. Shi Yao replied as she picked up the M416 on the ground. Then, a little unconfidently, she said, I've never shot anyone before. What if I can't hit accurately? What if I fail to kill the other party and end up getting killed instead? 111111. Do you see the accessories I tossed over to you? They're all mounted on the gun. When someone comes over later, open your scope and fire at them. If you fail to kill the other party and end up getting killed instead, 111111 paused for a moment before speaking up once more. Compared to his previous lazy tone, there was a tinge of arrogance in his voice. That's impossible. That's because as long as I want someone to die, they won't be able to live. By the same logic, as long as I want my life intact, no one will be able to take it away from me. 111111. So feel free to fire at them. If they dare to hit you, don't worry, I guarantee that they'll be dead before they can even draw their gun. This was the first time Shi Yao remembered that Mr. Numbers had said so much. This was especially so for the sentence in the middle. That's impossible. That's because as long as I want someone to die, they won't be able to live. By the same logic, as long as I want my life intact, no one will be able to take it away from me. Those words sounded arrogant and conceited, but Shi Yao couldn't bring herself to hate them at all. Instead, her heart skipped a beat. Perhaps it was due to 111,111's words working, but Shi Yao really wasn't feeling nervous anymore. When she saw that someone was coming over, she imitated less than 111,111's actions and waited for the person to look around for a moment before bending down to pick up his gun. After confirming that there was no one around, she fired at him. Throughout the entire process, Shi Yao couldn't tell whether she had aimed properly or not. In any case, she just kept firing at the area where the other party was standing. By the time she finished emptying her clip, she realized that the other party had already been reduced to a box. At the same time, a message flashed across the screen. Even though the words disappeared swiftly, Shi Yao still managed to catch a clear glimpse of them. Yao loves ice cream. Eliminated. Sleep until young, with M416. Wow, she actually killed someone. This was her first kill since she started playing this game. Shi Yao was so agitated that she nearly smashed her phone onto the ground. When she finally calmed herself down, she dragged less than 111,111 along with her earlier routine. After Shi Yao's 10th kill, she couldn't help but gloat gleefully. Wonderful. This is simply wonderful. I'm going to be the future sniper goddess. 111111 didn't respond. It was just that after the round was over, he didn't start playing again. Instead, Shi Yao received a private message from him on WeChat. Feeling better? Shi Yao was stunned. After an unknown period of time, Shi Yao felt the blood in her body beginning to boil. Did Mr. Numbers use this method to make her kill someone to vent her emotions because she was in a bad mood? But as it turned out, she was indeed having a great time. She was so happy that she had completely forgotten about the matter on the school forum. It took a lot of effort for Shi Yao to calm her emotions down. She typed 2 words on the keyboard and sent it over to Mr. Numbers. Thank you. Upon seeing Yao loves ice cream's reply, Lin Jiage raised his eyebrows lazily. Chapter 119. It turns out that big white chubby isn't a fool. She can tell that I've put in a lot of effort tonight. Raising his phone, Lin Jiage was just about to reply to Yao loves ice cream's message when Xia Shangzhou, who was lying on the bed, suddenly shouted, Boss, you're on the school forum again and it's about a love scandal. So what if I'm on it? Ever since I joined the school as a freshman 2 years ago, I've never once disappeared from the school forum. What's there to be surprised about? Lin Jiage calmly tapped on his phone screen, treating Xia Shangzhou's words as nothing more than a fart. It's getting late, hurry up. Halfway through Lin Jiage's message to Yao loves ice cream, Xia Shangzhou suddenly leaped off the bed with a gudong. Boss, this matter is even more serious than the incident with Belchin. Belchin? Lin Jiage stopped typing with a confused look on his face. It took him a moment to recall who the Belchin Xia Shangzhou was referring to was. So, Xia Shangzhou's so-called love scandal was referring to another girl who had inexplicably made him her boyfriend again? A hint of disgust flashed across Lin Jie's eyes, and his voice turned cold as he asked, "Who is it this time?" "It's a Year 1 junior from the English faculty. Her name is Shi Yao," Xia Shangzhou replied after taking a look at the scandal in the forum. Shi Yao. As this familiar name drifted into Lin Jie's ears, the cold aura that was emanating from his body suddenly vanished. "Since it's soft bun, I'll just let it slide then." With such a thought in mind, Lin Jie raised his finger, intending to complete the message that he had typed halfway. However, this time before his finger could even touch the screen, Xia Shangzhou had already walked up to him and exclaimed, "This junior looks a little familiar. I feel like I've seen her somewhere before. Isn't she the female student who bumped into boss on the day of the school anniversary? The heck, it's my goddess. My goddess is actually called Shi Yao. What a beautiful name. Wait boss, what did you do to my goddess? Why did my goddess go home with you?" "Your goddess? Did you ask for my permission? You're just calling me your goddess." Suppressing the urge to kick Xia Shangzhou out of the window, Lin Jie shot him a sidelong glance. Just as he was about to look away, Xia Shangzhou jumped up in a rage as if someone had F***ed his entire family. F***y these forum dogs, how dare they smear my goddess so badly. I'm going to open up 3,000 alternate accounts and flame them to death. To be so blackened. Lin Jie immediately grasped the crux of the matter. Without even thinking about the meaning behind those words, he had already snatched Xia Shangzhou's phone. Who would have thought that a certain girl from G University would spend the night with a different man every night? Let's cut to the chase and get straight to the picture. There were 4 pictures at the bottom. Lin Jie took a quick glance at them, but he didn't pay too much attention to them. Instead, he scrolled down the screen to look at the content behind. "I know her. She's a freshman from the English faculty. Her name is Shi Yao. The name sounds okay, but his character isn't that great. The more pure and aloof a girl looks, the more despicable she is. Boss, you have your own phone. Why are you using my phone?" Xia Shangzhou shouted, wanting to snatch his phone back. Ignoring him, Lin Jie continued browsing through the forums silently. Chapter 120. That's because she's flirtatious enough. She's probably out to sell herself. What the heck is going on here? Lin Jie's chest heaved in anger. Thank the heavens that my Adonis wasn't bitten by a dog. My Adonis isn't someone a shameless piece of trash like you can get close to. At this point, Lin Jie suddenly raised his hand and flung Xia Shangzhou's phone away. The phone crashed into the wall before falling to the ground with a dong sound. Following which, countless cracks appeared on the screen. "Boss, this is my..." Before Xia Shangzhou could finish his complaint, Lin Jie shot him a glare, causing him to cover his mouth in fright. Lin Jie kicked the chair behind him furiously, but due to the force behind his kick, the chair knocked into Xia Shangzhou's leg, nearly causing him to kneel on the floor. As if he didn't see this sight, Lin Jie strode over to the balcony and slammed the door loudly. The dormitory room fell silent for a moment before Lu Benlai, who had already hidden himself under his blanket, peeked his head out and asked, "Is boss really angry?" Xia Shangzhou kneeled on the floor and rubbed his injured leg. Looking at his shattered phone, he nodded and replied tearfully, "Yes. Boss is a little cold and his temper isn't particularly good either. However, as long as you don't cross his bottom line, he rarely gets angry. This matter isn't as simple as it seems." Lu Benlai analyzed the situation as he shot a glance at Xia Shangzhou, who was kneeling on the floor, and gloated. "Aren't you stupid? You could clearly see that boss's expression isn't good, so why didn't you hide further away? Look at me, Lu Benlai, I'm your grandfather." Xia Shangzhou stood up and leaped onto Lu Benlai's bed. "The heck? Get down. You're going to crush your grandfather to death." "I'm crushing you." Just as the two of them were bickering, the balcony door was pulled open. Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou immediately stopped their bickering, and the 2 burly men hurriedly hid under Lu Benlai's blanket. "Did you see boss's expression when he came in?" "No, but I could feel his killing intent through the blanket." "What is boss doing? Go take a look." "I don't dare. You can see for yourself." While Lu Benlai and Xia Shangzhou were whispering to each other, Lin Jie's voice sounded from outside the blanket. Hello, Lawyer Zhang? I'm sorry to bother you so late at night. Do you have time now? If you do, help me get a lawyer's letter. Yes, I need it now. Okay, I'll send the details to your phone later. Sorry for the trouble, bye. Xia Shangzhou, why does boss need a lawyer's letter? Lu Benlai, how would I know? I don't even know what happened on the forum. Ding dong, Xia Shangzhou, boss sent me a text. Lu Benlai, boss even switched on his laptop. Boss actually started typing. Xia Shangzhou said as he quietly pulled the blanket aside. Boss's computer page is showing the school forum. Boss, who hasn't been on the forum for 100 years, actually went to the forum. Lu Benlai leaned over and stared intently at Lin Jie's rapidly tapping fingers on the keyboard. Boss, your typing speed sure is fast. It's clear that you're going to take on the world and the haters. Chapter 121. Xia Shangzhou, can you see what boss typed? Lu Benlai, my glasses are at the bottom. Xia Shangzhou pushed Lu Benlai aside and said, move aside, let me do it. Craning his neck, Xia Shangzhou strenuously stared at Lin Jie's computer screen as he spat out word by word. That is my family's computer. And what? Lu Benlai asked anxiously. Don't speak, you're affecting my concentration. Xia Shangzhou nudged Lu Benlai with his elbow to signal for him to keep quiet. After which he continued. Boss deleted the previous sentence. Did he think that it wasn't written well? Boss started typing again and this time he typed. That's the car and driver that my grandfather arranged for Yao. The heck, boss's words are much deeper than the one he deleted earlier. Lu Benlai exclaimed. Due to a moment of carelessness, Lu Benlai's voice was a little too loud, and it alarmed Lin Jie, who was in the midst of typing on the keyboard. The young man casually grabbed a pen by the side of the laptop, and without even bothering to look at the two behind him, he tossed it out. The pen landed squarely on Lu Benlai's bed, frightening Xia Shangzhou and Lu Benlai so much that they immediately hid under the blanket, not daring to move recklessly. Sure Yao's thank you to less than 111,111 didn't receive a reply for a long time. Accustomed to being ignored by less than 111,111, Sure Yao wasn't in a bad mood. Instead, she put down her phone, opened the cabinet, took out a bag of potato chips and began munching on them happily. It was already midnight and Leng Nuan and Jiang Yu were already asleep. He Tian, who had just switched off her phone, heard Sure Yao's movements and couldn't help but mutter, Yaya, what time is it already? Why are you still eating? Aren't you afraid that I'll poison your water out of jealousy? Sure Yao took a potato chip and passed it to He Tian. Do you want one? He Tian covered her head with the blanket. Please don't use food to tempt someone who's on a diet in the middle of the night. That's shameless and immoral. To me it's no different from torture. Alright, I won't make things difficult for you then. Sure Yao took back the potato chips and stuffed them into her mouth. As soon as Yao swallowed the pill, He Tian pulled back her blanket and sat up. Yao, are you in a bad mood because of what happened in the forum? How about I chat with you? Sure Yao, there's no need for that. I'm fine now. I'll go to bed after brushing my teeth. You should hurry up and sleep. He Tian, are you sure? Sure Yao, really? He Tian, alright then. Don't think too much about it and go to bed early. With 2 potato chips stuffed into her mouth, Sure Yao puffed up her cheeks and nodded her head vehemently. He Tian lay down once more. After a while her breathing became long and steady. While everyone in the dormitory room was asleep, Sure Yao finished her fries and brushed her teeth. However, she didn't head straight to bed as she had told He Tian earlier. Instead, she sat in front of her desk and switched on her laptop. Things happen and you have to face them. The incident on the forum had been going on for a day and a night. The onlookers should have had enough by now. Now it was time for the show to end. Late at night, the entire school was eerily quiet. Amidst the sounds of her 3 roommates sleeping soundly, Sure Yao sat in front of her laptop, clicking on the mouse from time to time. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.